Chapter 1571, Rune Fragments in the Light Spots. At the entrance of the secret realm, a vortex slowly rotated, bearing a strong resemblance to a dungeon entrance. There were many cultivators outside the secret realm, most of whom had received tasks to enter the secret realm. However, completing the secret realm tasks was not easy, and people were constantly being teleported out of the secret realm. Most of them looked dejected and panicked, indicating that successfully completing the tasks was rare. Lin Moyu observed for about 10 minutes and saw more than 10 people leave the secret realm. Only one person looked excited, suggesting he had completed his task. The majority, however, had failed and used escape talismans to leave, losing a talisman worth 5 points of Divine City merits, which was quite painful. Lin Moyu also bought an escape talisman, though he hoped he wouldn't need it. He reached out to touch the vortex, and his soul power resonated with it. Instantly, he was sucked in, feeling exactly like entering a dungeon. Shortly after Lin Moyu entered the secret realm, a large group of people arrived, all of whom had been surpassed by Lin Moyu earlier.
He went in. If it's really him, with his strength, he will definitely complete the task. He won't just complete the task, he might even finish the subsequent tasks. The difficulty seems too high though. It's difficult for others, but for him, it shouldn't be.
Their discussion attracted a lot of attention. When they learned that the young man who had just entered was Lin Moyu, the first-place winner of the 4-star region competition, they were all astonished.
Is it really Lin Moyu? How did he get here? Even if he is the first-place winner, does he not need to complete the promotion task? The 4-star region competition ended just a few days ago. How could he have completed the promotion task so quickly? I heard that true geniuses in the 4-star region can be directly granted primary qualifications. I've heard that too, but such people are very rare. Lin Moyu must have been granted primary qualifications exceptionally. Don't worry, we'll know when he comes out.
None of them planned to enter the secret realm. They all waited outside for Lin Moyu to come out. Entering the Divine City secret realm felt exactly like entering a dungeon, confirming Lin Moyu's suspicion that the small world's dungeons and secret realms were related. As his feet touched the ground, the darkness turned to light, and his vision cleared. The scent of flowers filled his nose, and he found himself in a sea of flowers. Each person's entry point in the secret realm was different, unlike dungeons that had starting points and safe zones. Lin Moyu wondered if someone could be unlucky enough to be teleported directly into a swarm of poison bees and die immediately. A breeze blew, causing the sea of flowers to sway like waves, producing a rustling sound. The vibrant colors were dazzling, and the entire scene was stunningly beautiful. Lin Moyu marveled at the beauty but remained vigilant. The more beautiful a place, the more dangerous it often was. A flash of white light appeared beside him, and a skeletal god warrior materialized. The undead vision activated instantly. 1 flower, 2 flowers, 10 flowers, 100 flowers. Countless soul flames appeared in the undead vision. Soul flames burned brightly in all directions. Lin Moyu's earlier speculation came true. He was surrounded by a swarm of poison bees. If he hadn't noticed, any movement could have alerted the poison bees. Switching back to his normal vision, he saw a poison be the size of a fist resting on a bright flower. The soul flame indicated it was a 3rd-level God King poison bee, the weakest type. There were over 1,000 poison bees here, mostly 3rd-level God Kings, with a few 4th-level God Kings. Only the leader was a 5th-level God King. Lin Moyu had made no noise upon entering the secret realm, even when summoning the skeletal god warrior. The poison bees continued collecting nectar, unaware of his presence. Lin Moyu raised his hand and looked at the sky. The sky was bright, as if sunlight was shining down, making the secret realm world very bright. Gray flames ignited at his fingertips. Stellar level spell, Undead Gaze. The sky suddenly darkened, and gray undead flames appeared out of nowhere, burning fiercely. The entire secret realm seemed connected to the undead world, turning gray in an instant. A massive undead eye, millions of meters in size, slowly opened in the gray flames. From the perspective of the great world, millions of meters was not much, just 10,000 kilometers. Any god king could traverse it in the blink of an eye. However, in the secret realm, millions of meters was astonishing. The flower sea where Lin Moyu stood was not even 10,000 meters wide. The appearance of the undead caused a commotion in the flower sea. The poison bees, sensing danger, abandoned their work and took to the air. As they rose, the undead gazed upon them. Countless poison bees fell like raindrops. Their souls were obliterated, and they died instantly. From 3rd level to 5th level god kings, none of the thousands of poison bees survived. Against enemies of equal or lesser strength, this was a true weapon of mass destruction. An indiscriminate soul attack with a massive range, achieving instant kills. Countless light spots ascended as the dead poison bees turned to dust and scattered in the wind, leaving no corpses behind. The ascending light spots resembled a beautiful reverse rain of light.
What's this?
Lin Moyu's eyes narrowed as he noticed something unusual in the light spots. There seemed to be rune-like objects faintly visible within the light spots. When he tried to look closely, they became indistinct. These runes seemed like mere shadows, making Lin Moyu wonder if he was seeing things. It seemed impossible for a god king to have hallucinations. Lin Moyu knew he wasn't mistaken. There were indeed runes in the light spots. He opened his soul eye. If his physical eyes couldn't see clearly, he would use his soul eye. The soul eye of the other shore realm opened, emitting 2 invisible beams of light. The world before him changed. Lines of laws appeared around him, revealing the world of the other shore realm. Through the soul eye, Lin Moyu finally saw the runes in the light spots. They were all fragmented runes, none of them complete. Lin Moyu realized that the runes he saw were parts of a complete rune, like pieces of a shattered puzzle. If these fragments were reassembled, they might form a complete rune. The light spots lasted only a few seconds before disappearing, taking the runes with them. However, Lin Moyu now knew how to continue observing the runes. He summoned a large number of skeletal god warriors and sent them in all directions. Killing poison bees and observing runes became Lin Moyu's primary focus, even putting the secret realm task aside. The task had no time limit, so there was no need to rush. 1572 Chapter 1572 Terrifying Runes, Self-Reflection. The skeletal god warriors had already gone out to search for the poison bee swarms, while Lin Moyu stood motionless in the sea of flowers. The undead eye in the sky still existed, and the undead flames burned fiercely, rendering the secret realm gray. Lin Moyu's mind was racing, connecting various causes and effects. He muttered to himself, organizing a highly probable conclusion.
In ancient times, a terrifying existence beyond the other shore realm perished. No, that's not right. He perished, but his Tao did not. At his level, the Tao he cultivated and the path he walked had permeated every corner of his body. That severed finger is the best proof. The flesh is destroyed, but the Tao still exists. His Tao formed ancient relics. Countless pieces of flesh scattered in the divine city-star region turned into secret realms. Whether it's a secret realm or an ancient relic, it's the Tao left behind by that powerful being. Not only the Tao but also memories. The big figures of the other shore realm 060 want to study the Tao he left behind to learn about ancient events.
Every bit of information was connected at this moment. Everything became reasonable. Lin Moyu realized that he seemed to be doing something similar to the beings of the other shore realm. He wasn't thinking about completing the task but about studying the other party's Tao. Unknowingly, he had reached such a high level. His thoughts had already transcended the limitations of an ordinary god king. Perhaps even god sovereigns had never thought about studying the Tao of such an existence. After reaching a conclusion, Lin Moyu realized one thing. The Tao of this powerful being seemed to be ultimately expressed through runes. In the great world, runes are the true root, as the great world runes are the foundation of this world. Everything, big or small, can be described and expressed through runes.
Elder Su was right. By thoroughly studying runes, one can control this great world.
Lin Moyu felt a sudden clarity, knowing how to proceed on his path. While improving his realm, he would study and master runes. He could even use runes to enhance his spells. A buzzing sound came to his ears as the skeletal god warriors brought back a large number of poison bees. 1 swarm, 2 swarms, 3 swarms. Tens of thousands of poison bees flew in from all directions. The skeletal god warriors resumed their old job, just like in the dungeons, pulling monsters desperately. This was just the first wave. More were coming. The skeletal god warriors ran back and forth, flying and dodging, circling around. They gathered all the attracted poison bees together. Lin Moyu's heart moved, and the undead eye in the sky immediately gazed down. Like the descent of the Grim Reaper, the terrifying power from the world of death turned into an invisible giant hand, wiping out the souls of the poison bees. Tens of thousands of poison bees turned into corpses, pouring down. Then they turned into light spots and ascended. This time, the light spots were so dense that they almost formed a light curtain. Lin Moyu's eyes shone brightly, and his soul world surged with purple energy as the soul eye fully opened. His brain also operated at full speed at this moment. He didn't seek to analyze what these runes were. He knew very well that with his current realm, it was impossible to analyze such high-level runes. He only sought to remember these rune fragments and then piece them together. He tried to piece together a complete rune, hoping that in the future, he could understand these runes. Only by actually doing it did he realize how difficult it was. When he carefully looked at these runes and tried to remember them, he realized how complex these rune fragments were. Runes are not just about their shape. They also involve the flow of internal power and deep patterns. That is the core of the rune. It's not just about drawing an identical rune on paper with a pen. That won't make the rune work. Having the shape is useless without the essence. What Lin Moyu remembered was not the shape of the rune fragments but the essence within them. As long as the essence was correct, the shape was not difficult. But this essence was too obscure and difficult, its level too high, beyond Lin Moyu's understanding. Remembering the runes was exhausting, and soon he felt his brain being drained. His soul power greatly consumed, and even the talent tree couldn't replenish it in time. After reaching the other shore realm, it was the first time he experienced soul depletion. The light curtain disappeared after a few seconds, along with the rune fragments. Lin Moyu panted lightly, calming his soul power. His soul power was rapidly recovering after being overconsumed. Among the thousands of rune fragments just now, he only remembered less than 10 fragments. Even these 10 fragments had pushed him to his limit. After 10 minutes, with the help of the talent tree, his soul power was mostly restored. Lin Moyu compared the 10 fragments he remembered with the soul fire rune arranged by Elder Su and found them completely incomparable. They were not on the same level at all. He could face the soul fire rune directly. Although he didn't understand it, his soul could fully withstand it. He could accurately grasp the essence contained in the soul fire rune and even gain some insights. But now, although he remembered these fragments, he couldn't understand them at all.
Just the fragments are so terrifying, fundamentally surpassing the soul fire rune. If I could really draw it, how terrifying would that rune be? The rune contains not just laws but rules. Unfortunately, I know nothing about the power of rules. In the end, I'm aiming too high. My vision is high, but my realm hasn't kept up. Perhaps I can forcibly remember, but understanding it is impossible with my current realm.
While reflecting, Lin Moyu also engaged in self-reflection. His vision was indeed high. He had even encountered saints, entered places related to ancient times multiple times, and discovered the existence of other worlds, seeing a broader world. The elevation of his vision allowed him to stand at a higher point to observe this world. But at the same time, his actual realm was not high enough. He stood at a high point, saw the whole world, but couldn't understand its operating rules. Fortunately, he understood the principle of self-reflection and never did things beyond his capabilities. Runes still needed to be explored. Runes were the truth of this world. Moreover, the temptation of high-level power and the curiosity about runes drove him to explore them. He first remembered them, and when his realm improved, he would study them again. The skeletal god warriors brought back news from afar. They found a cave guarded by a large number of poison bees. Combining this with the information from Choji, it was highly likely that the poison bee queen was in the cave. Of course, they might also encounter the poison bee king. The undead eye in the sky slowly disappeared. The undead flames faded, and the scenery in the secret realm became bright again. A stream of light flew over the sea of flowers, stirring up even more turbulent waves. Countless petals were lifted into the sky, and colorful petals rained down like raindrops. Lin Moyu flew out of the sea of flowers, then passed through a grassland, and saw hills in his sight. The skeletal god warriors had already scouted the way, so he didn't stop and rushed into the hills. As he rushed into the hills, the sea of flowers behind him suddenly changed. A large number of flowers withered as if their life force had been drained by some power. The ground in the sea of flowers slowly bulged, and a giant hand emerged from the ground, covered with rune fragments. 1573, 1573. Chapter 1573, Rune Fragments on the Bee Eggs. The sudden change in the sea of flowers was silent. Even Lin Moyu did not sense it. At this moment, Lin Moyu had already flown into the forest and arrived at the entrance of a cave. The cave entrance was about 5 meters high, enough for him to pass through. Before he arrived, many skeletal god warriors had already entered. The terrain inside the cave had already been mapped out in his mind. The cave was intricate with numerous poison bees inside. The walls were full of holes, which were the poison bees' nests. Interestingly, there were many flowers growing inside the cave. The flowers were everywhere, densely packed. However, in the undead vision, everything was black and white, making it impossible to see the flower's specific appearance. But the fact that flowers could grow in a cave full of poison bees was strange and unusual. The information Choji provided did not mention the flowers, perhaps because he didn't notice them at the time. The skeletal god warriors had already attracted all the poison bees near the entrance, so Lin Moyu did not encounter any poison bees when he entered the cave. Lin Moyu was enveloped in a layer of gray and white light, looking like a very thin mist, even distorting the space around him. This was the bone hell covering his body. Bone hell could be used offensively or retracted to form a shield. If there was danger, bone hell would be the first layer of defense. Shortly after entering the cave, Lin Moyu saw the flowers. The flowers were similar in color to the cave walls, a slightly earthy yellow. Although there were many of them, they were not conspicuous and could easily be overlooked. Lin Moyu glanced at the flowers and found nothing wrong with them. The real problem was not the flowers but the small earthy yellow grass hidden behind them. The small earthy yellow grass was inconspicuous, blending in with the flowers and the cave walls, making it even less noticeable. However, Lin Moyu noticed that the yellow grass was continuously emitting poison gas. This poison was invisible and intangible, not immediately noticeable. By the time one felt it, it would be too late. The poison would accumulate in the body and soul, like a ticking time bomb waiting to be triggered. Bone hell glowed faintly, absorbing all the poison gas in the cave, preventing it from touching Lin Moyu. Even if it did touch him, it wouldn't matter, as his passive spells were enough to make him immune to this level of poison. The skeletal god warriors moved through the intricate cave at an astonishing speed. Behind them was a dense swarm of poison bees. In less than half an hour, the skeletal god warriors had traversed most of the cave, attracting all the poison bees. Using undead gaze in the cave was inconvenient. If he could use corpse explosion, the killing effect would be better. Unfortunately, the poison bees left no corpses after death. Lin Moyu chose a relatively open area based on the terrain. Over 1,000 skeletal god generals formed a three-dimensional battle formation. When the skeletal god warriors lured the poison bee swarm over, the skeletal god generals unleashed sword energy, launching a deadly attack. The poison bee swarm had no chance against the attacks of the small god sovereigns. A large number of poison bees died in the sword energy. The dead poison bees turned into light spots, rising upwards. The cave did not obstruct the light spots. They seemed to be intangible, easily penetrating the cave walls and disappearing. As a result, Lin Moyu had no chance to observe the runes in the cave. In just a few minutes, countless poison bees were wiped out. The skeletal god warriors had traversed most of the cave and found the correct route. Lin Moyu felt like he was back in the small world, clearing a dungeon. He was very familiar with this kind of task. He transformed the skeletal god warriors into skeletal god generals to clear the way, following the correct path deeper into the cave. According to Lin Moyu's understanding, there should be many such caves. Not every cave would have a poison bee queen. Whether the cave he was in had one was up to luck. The cave path gradually widened, eventually reaching over 10 meters in height and width. This indicated that something large had passed through here.
Could it be the poison bee queen or the poison bee king?
From this point on, there were no ordinary poison bees. Clearly, the poison bees had a strict hierarchy, and some places were off-limits to ordinary poison bees. Lin Moyu noticed that the poison in the air had increased significantly. The flowers and yellow grass were denser, and the poison was now visible as a faint yellow mist in the air. Wrapped in bone hell, Lin Moyu ignored the yellow mist. After a bend in the path, his view suddenly opened up. A clear pool of water appeared before him, as calm as a mirror. Beside the pool were 2 giant bee eggs. The bee eggs were about 3 meters high, with openings at the top, continuously inhaling the yellow mist and then spewing it out like a volcano. The whole process was accompanied by the expansion and contraction of the bee eggs, as if a creature inside was breathing. Lin Moyu was immediately attracted to the bee eggs. As the bee eggs breathed, numerous rune fragments appeared on their surface. These were the same fragments he had seen in the light spots, but this time he could see them with his naked eyes. Just as Lin Moyu wanted to take a closer look, the bee eggs suddenly spewed out a large amount of mist. The originally thin yellow mist became dense, like thick sulfur before a volcanic eruption, instantly covering the bee eggs and filling the entire space. The toxicity of the mist increased sharply. If an ordinary god king were here, they would have to retreat and wait for the mist to dissipate. A slow reaction could even be dangerous. But for Lin Moyu, it was not a problem. The skeletal god generals ignored the mist and directly attacked the bee eggs. The sword energy struck, and the bee eggs exploded, releasing more poison gas. At the same time, a piercing scream echoed in the cave. For giant poison bees rushed over, moving quickly through the dense mist, unaffected by it. Judging by the strength of their soul flames, they were all around the 8th level of the God King realm. Lin Moyu saw them clearly. Compared to the fist-sized poison bees, these were giants, over 2 meters long, with 4 pairs of rapidly vibrating transparent wings, producing a buzzing sound. Their mouths and tails had long, sharp stingers, glowing with a strange light, clearly highly toxic. Boom! As soon as they appeared, the dense mist exploded. The poison reached its peak in an instant. Lin Moyu realized that Choji had faced the same situation. The 4 giant poison bees were what Choji had encountered. They were not the poison bee king, which was why Choji had a chance to escape. If it had been the poison bee king, Choji would likely have perished. The 4 giant poison bees were not particularly strong, just 8th level god kings. The only trouble was their poison. Without the poison, they would be easy to deal with. The best strategy was to leave and return after the poison dissipated, or to prepare anti-poison treasures and pills and fight them head-on. Lin Moyu chose the latter. As the giant poison bees released their poison, the skeletal god generals charged. Their bone swords were incredibly sharp, and with a flash of sword light, the giant poison bees were sliced into pieces. 1574, 1574. Chapter 1574. Continue exploring. Is it beneficial to you? After the giant poison bees died, they did not turn into light spots like the ordinary poison bees. Instead, a dazzling beam of light shot out from their corpses. The beam of light was filled with countless rune fragments. However, the beam lasted only 2 seconds and happened so suddenly that Lin Moyu couldn't seize the opportunity. From the initial rune fragments in the light spots after the poison bees died, to the dense rune fragments on the bee eggs, and now the rune fragments in the beam of light after the giant poison bees died, everything in the secret realm was telling Lin Moyu that everything here was constructed from runes. After eliminating the bee eggs and the giant poison bees, the poison gas in the cave quickly dissipated, posing no further threat. Lin Moyu continued deeper into the cave, following the direction from which the giant poison bees had come, and finally reached the deepest part of the cave. Here, Lin Moyu saw the mother of poison bees. The mother of poison bees was even larger than the giant poison bees. It lay on the ground, and behind it was a huge beehive. The beehive was enormous, shaped like a large sphere with a diameter exceeding 10 meters. Countless poison bees were crawling on it. The cave was merely a living space for the poison bees, but this place was where they were nurtured. Around the mother of poison bees were 4 bee eggs, each guarded by a giant poison bee. It seemed they were protecting the bee eggs.
No poison bee king.
Lin Moyu felt a bit disappointed. He had found the mother of poison bees but had not encountered the poison bee king. The task had warned that if one encountered the poison bee king, they should turn and flee without hesitation. However, it was also clear that the chances of encountering the poison bee king were very low. Lin Moyu even speculated that encountering the giant poison bees was not guaranteed every time. The appearance of the mother of poison bees reminded Lin Moyu of a dungeon he had experienced before, the Tyrant Desert. There was a boss-level monster in it called the Ant Queen. The structure of the entire ant colony seemed somewhat similar to the poison bees in front of him. This inexplicable sense of familiarity surprised Lin Moyu.
Perhaps it's just a coincidence.
With a thought, the skeletal god generals charged in to attack. The mother of poison bees let out a sharp scream, sending out sound waves that pushed the skeletal god generals back several steps. The mother of poison bees was only at the 8th level of the God King realm, the same level as the giant poison bees. However, its scream could push back the skeletal god generals, who were at the small god sovereign realm, which was quite surprising. But it only pushed them back and did not cause any harm. After pushing back the skeletal god generals, the mother of poison bees' scream became even higher. The beehive behind it also began to hum and vibrate, and a large number of poison bees flew out. The poison bees swarmed out, instantly exceeding 1,000. They charged like an army, led by the 4 giant poison bees. If it were other cultivators facing such an attack, they would likely retreat first, using the terrain and treasures to counterattack. After all, without the poison, cultivators could fight boldly and freely. As long as their strength and experience were not lacking, eliminating the poison bees would not be too difficult. For Lin Moyu, it was even simpler. With a light touch of his finger, the bone hell instantly expanded, enveloping the entire cave. The slaves in the bone hell immediately took action, and the wondrous spirits exerted their squeezing force, while the 3-tribe coalition launched a simultaneous attack. A large number of poison bees were quickly killed, turning into light spots. Lin Moyu discovered that the light spots formed after the poison bees died could not escape the bone hell, nor could they return to the secret realm. The bone hell acted like another dimension, trapping the light spots. The rune fragments contained in the light spots were also trapped in the bone hell.
It can be done like this.
Lin Moyu was slightly surprised, not expecting the bone hell to have such a function. The light spots formed after the poison bees died flew around in the bone hell. They carried the power of the rune fragments, crashing around in the bone hell, seemingly trying to return but to no avail. Lin Moyu's eyes lit up.
In this way, I can trap them all inside and study them slowly. I might even be able to use the bone hell to piece together the runes completely. Although I can't understand them now, I can at least see what the ancient runes look like.
Unfortunately, things did not go as planned. After flying around for a while, the light spots burst like bubbles and completely disappeared.
No, it won't work.
His idea fell through, leaving him slightly disappointed. But this was expected. If it were so easy to obtain, the rune fragments would be too worthless. The disappearance of the rune fragments was normal. Facing the slaughter in the bone hell, the poison bee swarm and the giant poison bees couldn't last even a minute. Soon, only the mother of poison bees was left in the cave. The poison bees and similar creatures would turn into light and disappear after death. The task required obtaining the corpse of the mother of poison bees, indicating that it was special and would at least leave a corpse after death. With all its subordinates killed, the mother of poison bees seemed a bit confused, as if it hadn't reacted yet. It screamed frantically, but it was futile. The beehive behind it was still wriggling, but it couldn't produce more poison bees in a short time. It seemed to sense the approach of death. Without wisdom, it didn't know what fear was. It just twisted frantically and uneasily out of instinct. Sword energy burst forth, illuminating the cave in a white world. The scream stopped abruptly, and the mother of poison bees fell. A beam of light shot out from its body, also containing a large number of rune fragments. Its corpse shrank in the beam of light but did not completely disappear. Finally, the corpse of the mother of poison bees became the size of a fist, looking like a specimen. Lin Moyu walked over and picked up the corpse of the mother of poison bees. Boom! The cave shook violently, and the rock wall in front collapsed, revealing a brand new passage.
Is the task not over yet? Or is this the exit?
As Lin Moyu was thinking, a pitch-black vortex appeared beside him. The vortex emitted the aura of the great world, and the power of the human emperor network could be felt from it. This was the real exit. He had completed the task and could leave the secret realm and return to the Divine City Star region through the exit. The 10 points of Divine City merits were already in hand. But what was the new passage in front of him? At this moment, Lin Moyu suddenly received a prompt from the Human Emperor Network. The first stage of exploring the Poison Bee Secret Realm has been completed. You can choose to continue exploring and complete the second stage of the task to obtain more rewards. The rewards will vary based on the degree of exploration. Please note that the danger of the second stage of exploration will increase significantly. If there is danger, you can use the escape talisman to leave, and the first stage reward will still be valid. Please make your choice within 1 minute. Lin Moyu didn't expect to receive a message from the Human Emperor Network in the Secret Realm. He carefully recalled his experiences in the Secret Realm. He realized that the power of the Human Emperor Network had already penetrated the Secret Realm. However, this penetration was still superficial and couldn't truly interfere with the operation of the Secret Realm. In the words of the other Shore Realm, it couldn't change the rules of the Secret Realm. But the Human Emperor Network was still very powerful. Its power could already interfere with the Secret Realm to some extent. For example, it could segment tasks and create an exit using the task item as a coordinate after completing the first stage of the task. As for the second stage, Lin Moyu speculated that the Secret Realm itself didn't have any tasks. These tasks were all set by the Human Emperor Network. The Human Emperor Network must have its own true purpose. The fact that he had to make a choice within 1 minute indicated that the Human Emperor Network's interference with the Secret Realm could only be maintained for 1 minute. Lin Moyu tried to communicate with the Human Emperor Network.
If I continue exploring, will it benefit you?
He believed the Human Emperor Network could understand, or at least the people behind it could. After half a minute, the Human Emperor Network responded with one word. Yes. 1575 1575. Chapter 1575. Forgotten rune fragments. A single word was enough to explain many things. Lin Moyu confirmed that the Human Emperor Network either had self-awareness or was being controlled by someone behind the scenes. Regardless of the possibility, one thing remained unchanged. It was for the human race. The existence of the Human Emperor Network was for the human race. Lin Moyu never doubted this. It was precisely this answer that made Lin Moyu decide his choice. He put away the corpse of the mother of poison bees and walked into the dark passage. The aura of the great world gradually disappeared, and the power of the Human Emperor Network also became weaker and weaker. The sound of water came from ahead, and Lin Moyu saw a curtain of water. He couldn't see where the water came from, but it formed a curtain of water right in front of him. The water fell to the ground, but the ground remained strangely dry, without a trace of water.
This is not ordinary water.
His soul instinctively opened its eyes, entering the vision of the other shore realm. But he still couldn't see anything. Using the undead vision yielded the same result. It seemed to be the most ordinary water, yet it had an extraordinary appearance. It had no source, no destination, no beginning, and no end. According to the laws of the great world, such a situation was impossible.
The power of rules. The rules here have been changed.
Lin Moyu could only think of this possibility. Someone had changed the rules here, causing this unusual phenomenon. After taking a deep breath, Lin Moyu walked through the falling water curtain. The scene before him suddenly changed. He found himself no longer in the cave but on an endless plain. Looking around, he saw large masses of water floating in the air. The water masses floated in the air, forming floating pools. He could even see fish swimming inside. Lin Moyu looked around and found no formations or external forces. Only by changing the rules could such a bizarre scene occur. As Lin Moyu stepped into this area, the giant hand covered with runes in the sea of flowers where he had first entered the secret realm rose even higher. The entire wrist had already emerged from the ground. The wrist was also covered with runes, shining brightly. It was still struggling hard, trying to completely leave the ground. But a large number of runes appeared in the air, preventing it from leaving. Both sides were wrestling, and it was hard to determine the winner for a while. In the core area of the divine city, in a void, a mass of flames was burning fiercely. The flames were enormous, surpassing the combined volume of dozens of galaxies. Outside the flames, several palaces floated. The palaces had endured the test of time, exuding an ancient and vast aura. A loud voice came from one of the palaces.
He has entered the Poison Bee secret realm of the 12998 star region, the second stage.
Immediately, another voice appeared.
The difficulty of the second stage is very high. In tens of thousands of years, fewer than 10 people have passed. Someone corrected him.
To be precise, it's 8 people.
Whether it's 10 or 8, it doesn't matter. What matters is that no one has passed the final stage. The Human Emperor Network's penetration into the Poison Bee secret realm has only reached halfway. Perhaps, this time there is hope. If even he can't do it, then no one can.
Lin Moyu was unaware that many big figures had high hopes for him. He was currently studying the floating water masses. He saw rune fragments in the water masses, different from the ones he had seen before. These were another set of fragments. When he opened his soul eye to observe them carefully, his soul trembled violently. His soul power was instantly consumed by half, and Lin Moyu groaned, his soul eye automatically closing. Lin Moyu was filled with lingering fear. The rune fragments here were clearly more terrifying, requiring a higher realm. He almost suffered a backlash. With his soul at the other shore realm, he was still affected. If it were an ordinary god king, their soul would likely shatter at a glance. He suddenly realized that if it were an ordinary god king, they wouldn't be able to see these runes at all. If they couldn't see the runes, these problems wouldn't exist. Now he understood that these runes were not meant for god kings to see. Even god sovereigns might not be able to see them.
My realm is still not enough.
Lin Moyu knew his problem. His soul was sufficient, but his cultivation realm was not high enough. Now Lin Moyu felt a bit awkward. When his realm was high enough, he wouldn't be able to enter. But if his realm wasn't high enough, he couldn't see them. He didn't intend to comprehend them, just to remember the runes, but even that was not possible. He didn't expect the difficulty of the second stage runes to increase so much. As he pondered what to do, he suddenly felt himself being locked onto. He looked up and saw a fish in the nearest water mass staring at him. The next second, a fish rushed out of the water mass. As soon as it left the water mass, its body expanded with the wind, instantly becoming a 10-meter-long behemoth. A powerful aura rushed towards him. These fish all had the strength of a 9th-level god king. A skeletal god general appeared beside him, and in the next moment, sword energy filled the air, slicing the approaching fish into pieces. As the fish died, all the water masses boiled. Sharp cries came from the water masses, and they seemed to come alive, constantly changing shape in the air. Fish of all sizes flew out of the water masses, rushing towards Lin Moyu. As soon as they left the water masses, their bodies expanded dozens of times. In an instant, the sky was filled with monstrous fish, their claws and teeth covering the sky.
More than people?
Lin Moyu sneered and snapped his fingers. The bone hell appeared, a world of gray and white, almost instantly occupying the sky, enveloping all the monstrous fish. Flames erupted in the bone hell, the undead flames burning fiercely. The slaves in the hell simultaneously attacked the monstrous fish. The number of monstrous fish exceeded 10,000, and their attack power was extremely strong. They could all manipulate water laws, spraying ice arrows and freezing the world. The soldiers in the bone hell alone would take a lot of time to kill them all. The strength of the bone hell depended on the strength of the slaves inside. Currently, his slaves were not strong, with only 3 small god sovereigns and a group of 3 tribe coalition forces. Although the 3 tribe coalition forces were numerous, their combat power was greatly reduced without the support of battle formations. Among the wondrous spirits, few could reach the 9th level of the God King realm. All the monstrous fish were at the 9th level of the God King realm. The skeletal god general joined the battle in the next moment. The bone hell turned into a battlefield, and a large number of monstrous fish were killed by the skeletal god general. Beams of light rose in the hell, and rune fragments appeared in the light. Lin Moyu, unwilling to give up, used his soul eye to observe the rune fragments again, consuming a large amount of soul power. He only remembered a part of the fragments before his soul power was half consumed. Fortunately, his soul power recovered quickly and would be restored in no time. After several more attempts, the results were the same. Lin Moyu suddenly realized something. In the first stage, he had remembered 10 rune fragments. To his shock, he found that he had forgotten what the 10 rune fragments looked like. No matter how hard he tried to recall, he couldn't remember the essence of the runes, and even their shapes were gradually fading from his memory. Lin Moyu sighed with some helplessness.
It seems that things of this level are indeed beyond my reach.
Now he deeply understood the barrier brought by the difference in realms. The huge gap in realms meant that even if he temporarily remembered, he would soon forget. He recalled what Antares had once said.
If it's not yours, don't touch it. Even if you touch it, it's useless. You won't get it anyway.
1576 1576 Chapter 1576 Rune Gold Rain using stone as an umbrella. After entering the secret realm and discovering the rune fragments, Lin Moyu continuously tried to remember the runes. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, he wanted to try, even though he knew he was aiming too high. After all, it was hard to resist the temptation of high-level power. Until this moment, Lin Moyu finally understood. Indeed, this was not a level he could touch yet. He put away all his curiosity and stopped considering the rune fragments, focusing on the task at hand. The skeletal god generals charged into the bone hell, quickly killing the fish monsters. Within minutes, tens of thousands of fish monsters were slaughtered. The water masses in the air remained clear, but the fish monsters inside were all dead, leaving the water masses empty. Rune fragments continued to flow within the water masses. At this moment, Lin Moyu no longer wanted to look at them. He knew that even if he forcibly remembered them, he would soon forget. This was not a level of power he could touch, so there was no need to force it. However, he noticed that the water masses were starting to glow. After the fish monsters died, the empty water masses began to change again. From all directions, hundreds of giant water masses suddenly flew into the sky. They soared to a height of 10,000 meters and then exploded. The entire sky lit up, and the clear water suddenly turned golden. In the next second, a magnificent golden rain fell from the sky, turning the entire world golden. A bad feeling arose in Lin Moyu's heart, and his soul warned him of impending danger. But where was the danger coming from? There were no enemies around, and the undead vision revealed nothing. When he reopened his soul eye, Lin Moyu shuddered and quickly closed his eyes. He knew where the danger was coming from. It was the golden rain. The falling rain was not golden water but rune fragments.
I can't let this rain touch me.
His instincts told him that letting the rain touch him would be disastrous. The bone hell appeared beside him, emitting gray and white mist to block the rain. The chanting of Buddhist scriptures sounded, and the Buddhist lich appeared beside him. Spell, True Sight. Using the golden rain as a medium, Lin Moyu invoked the law of fate to glimpse the future. In the feedback from the law of fate, Lin Moyu saw possible future events. The golden rain grew heavier, continuously falling. The entire land glowed with golden light. The bone hell gradually dissolved in the golden rain and eventually collapsed. Then, he was enveloped by the golden rain, turning into a golden figure covered in rune fragments. The vision ended there, and Lin Moyu felt a chill in his heart. If he couldn't find a way to deal with the golden rain, he might be trapped here forever. He had two choices: find a way to deal with the golden rain or use the escape talisman to leave the secret realm. The future he saw was not the real future, but what would happen if he did nothing. A large number of skeletal god generals charged out, turning into streams of light and rushing in all directions. Lin Moyu needed to find a way out. The golden rain might not cover the entire secret realm. There might be places without it. But the result was disappointing. The skeletal god generals slowed down after flying only 10,000 kilometers. They were covered in golden raindrops, turning into golden skeletons covered in rune fragments. Their speed slowed down, and within seconds they were motionless. The connection between Lin Moyu and the skeletal god generals was completely severed. The skeletal god generals were dead, with no chance of resurrection. His talents and passive spells all lost their effect at that moment. This change made Lin Moyu feel a chill. The skeletal god generals were not dead but had lost contact with him, as if they had been forcibly removed from the undead army and were no longer part of it. Naturally, his passive spells and talents no longer worked on them. From the reaction of the skeletal god generals, Lin Moyu deduced that if he were enveloped by the golden rain and covered in runes, he would also have no chance of resurrection. These rune fragments were extremely terrifying. Lin Moyu held the escape talisman in his hand. If things became truly unavoidable, he wouldn't force it. Survival was paramount. The chanting of Buddhist scriptures sounded again, and Lin Moyu used True Sight for the second time. This time, using the golden rain as a medium, he chose to save himself by flying into the sky. Perhaps flying in another direction could also lead to escape, but he didn't know which direction was correct. True Sight could only be used 3 times, and now he had 2 chances left, leaving him with limited options. Lin Moyu chose to fly upwards, hoping to break through the clouds for a chance of survival. True Sight provided a result. In the future vision, he shot into the sky like a rocket. The closer he got to the clouds, the denser the golden rain became, and the faster the bone hell dissolved. He seemed to be blocked by some great force, and his flying speed slowed down. This scene was identical to what happened to the skeletal god generals earlier. The bone hell collapsed under the impact of the golden rain. He was enveloped by the golden rain, unable to move, and fell heavily to the ground. The vision ended there. Lin Moyu's face turned pale. Flying upwards was ineffective. Choosing any direction on the ground had a low probability of survival. The mist of the bone hell was collapsing, and Lin Moyu had little time left. His best option now was to use the escape talisman to leave. However, Lin Moyu was reluctant to give up. He still had one last chance with True Sight and wanted to try again. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he smiled.
I know how to deal with the golden rain.
In the previous vision, in the last second, when he fell to the ground, the impact created a large pit. The ground was not solid and could be broken. In the first use of True Sight, although the ground glowed with golden light, it absorbed the runes and was not covered by the golden rain. The ground could resist the golden rain. Lin Moyu pressed his palm lightly, and the power of the God King spread out. The ground rumbled and cracked. A large cubic stone, over 100 meters on each side, was forcibly extracted. The edges of the stone were as sharp as blades, smooth as a mirror. The stone was massive and incredibly heavy. The density of the material in the secret realm far exceeded that of ordinary stars. The weight of this stone surpassed the combined weight of several planets. However, for Lin Moyu it was still manageable, not too burdensome. The skeletal god generals came to the four corners of the stone, lifting it in place of Lin Moyu. It wasn't that he couldn't handle the weight, but why exert himself when the skeletal god generals could do it? Using the stone as an umbrella, he blocked the golden rain. As Lin Moyu had expected, the ground of the secret realm could resist the golden rain. He saved his last use of true sight. Choosing a random direction, the skeletal god generals carried the stone and flew quickly. The golden rain continued to fall, and the secret realm seemed vast. After flying for a long time, they were still within the range of the golden rain. An hour later, the flying stone stopped. Lin Moyu's expression was complex as he looked at the golden pool on the ground, frowning slightly. The golden pool was cubic, 100 meters on each side and 100 meters deep. It was the place where he had extracted the stone earlier. After flying for an hour, he had returned to the original spot.
Is it a formation runes or because of the rules?
After pondering for a moment, Lin Moyu decided to try again. He flew in another direction, and an hour later he saw the pit again. After an hour of golden rain, the pool had filled up a bit more.
Let's try another direction.
1577, 1577. Chapter 1577. Breaking through the barrier, colliding with the water dragon. The giant stone ascended, flying towards the sky. Lin Moyu's idea of changing direction was not to go left, right, forward, or backward, but to head directly towards the sky. Moving in any other direction had become meaningless. Lin Moyu speculated that breaking through the cloud layer was the correct way out of the secret realm. As they got closer to the sky, the pressure on the skeletal god generals increased. Each drop of golden rain felt like a giant fist, crashing onto the stone with a roar. Initially, only 4 skeletal god generals were holding up the stone. As the pressure increased, their speed slowed down. Lin Moyu added several more skeletal god generals. The skeletal god generals were small god sovereigns, possessing immense strength. In terms of physical power, they far surpassed ordinary small god sovereigns. Even they struggled to withstand the impact of the golden rain, indicating how powerful the rain's force was. Lin Moyu felt the impact of the golden raindrops and understood.
As long as one has the strength of a small god sovereign, they can break through the golden rain barrier. The key is that the stone must not be too large, with dimensions not exceeding 10 meters.
The larger the stone, the more golden rain it would endure, and naturally, the greater the pressure. The secret realm's level limit was the 9th level of the God King realm. Among the human race, there was no shortage of geniuses, and a 9th level God King could unleash the power of a small god sovereign. As long as the stone was reasonably controlled, it could block the golden rain and break through the cloud layer. Lin Moyu was never arrogant. Since he could think of a solution, others could too. The world was never short of smart people. Dozens of skeletal god generals held up the giant stone, enduring the golden rain, and forcefully broke through the cloud layer. The world changed, and bright light shone down. Lin Moyu stood above the clouds, looking at the floating clouds and the beautiful scenery. In the distance, a light ball resembling a star slowly rose, like the rising sun, bringing a sense of peace and joy. Suddenly, a sense of unease struck. Lin Moyu instinctively flew to the other side of the giant stone. In an instant, countless golden beams shot up from below, like a spectacular reverse waterfall. The skeletal god generals couldn't dodge in time and were hit by the beams, instantly turning into golden skeletons and losing contact. The golden skeletal god generals fell from the sky, back into the cloud layer. Lin Moyu reached out and firmly grasped the giant stone. At this moment, only the giant stone could block the golden beams. Hiding behind the stone, Lin Moyu was extremely safe, but he had lost dozens of skeletal god generals. The attack had come too suddenly. Flying out of the cloud layer and seeing the warm sun was the most relaxing moment. At such a moment, the sudden beams could easily catch one off guard. Lin Moyu felt a lingering fear. This secret realm was more dangerous than any dungeon he had experienced. The danger didn't come from the enemies within the secret realm but from its rules. The power of the rules was something even he couldn't resist. He could only follow the rules to find a solution. The golden beams shooting up from the cloud layer gradually disappeared after a few seconds. The clouds completely dispersed, revealing the clear sky. Lin Moyu saw the ground again. At this moment, the ground was covered with golden water, turning the secret realm into a swamp. Falling into it would have dire consequences. The light ball in the distance seemed to grow larger and was rapidly approaching. Lin Moyu became vigilant and summoned dozens of skeletal god generals again, having them hold onto the giant stone. This time he was smarter, placing skeletal god generals on all sides of the stone. This way, no matter where the attack came from, he could respond calmly. The light ball grew larger in his vision, quickly approaching. When it was less than 10,000 miles away, Lin Moyu saw clearly that it wasn't a light ball but a large mass of golden water composed of rune fragments. The golden water mass had a diameter of several thousand kilometers, resembling a small star. Countless runes flickered on its surface, emitting dazzling golden light. Although it was beautiful, Lin Moyu knew it was extremely deadly. The golden water mass stopped and began to change shape. Gradually, it transformed into a water dragon made of golden runes. In appearance, it was identical to the divine dragons of the dragon race. In terms of power, it wasn't strong only at the 9th level of the God King realm, not even reaching the small God Sovereign level. But it was extremely dangerous because it couldn't be touched. Even a God Sovereign who touched it would be turned into gold by the runes and never escape. A dragon roar echoed through the secret realm. The water dragon spewed dragon breath, which was also composed of golden water filled with runes.
Damn.
Lin Moyu was still observing when the attack came fiercely. Without thinking, he immediately hid behind the giant stone. The dragon breath hit the stone, causing it to fly backward. The skeletal god generals on the side facing the water dragon instantly turned into gold and fell from the sky. As Lin Moyu had expected, touching it meant death. He couldn't just sit and wait. Since he couldn't touch it, he would attack from a distance. After all, he had plenty of skeletons. A large number of skeletal god generals appeared in the air, unleashing powerful sword energy. The small god sovereign level attacks hit the water dragon, shattering it into countless pieces. The water dragon exploded into a rain of golden water, falling into the golden swamp below.
Is it over?
Lin Moyu was slightly stunned. Seemed too easy. But in the next second, a huge wave surged from the golden swamp, and the water dragon reappeared. It spewed a large amount of dragon breath, which turned into water and covered the sky like a reverse waterfall. Lin Moyu changed positions again, using the giant stone to block the golden water. The skeletal god generals scattered, avoiding contact with the golden water. They unleashed sword energy again, shattering the water dragon. The golden water fell to the ground, merging with the swamp. In less than half a second, the water dragon reappeared. This time, the skeletal god generals attacked first, shattering it before it could attack. But in less than half a second, the water dragon reappeared. Lin Moyu watched as the water dragon was killed repeatedly and reappeared repeatedly.
Does this thing have a resurrection ability like mine?
The answer was obviously no. He knew the water dragon's immortality was due to some special rule. There must be something he hadn't discovered. Activating the undead vision, he saw the water dragon's soul fire. The soul fire matched the 9th level of the God King realm. Apart from the golden water, the water dragon had no other peculiarities. The problem was that no matter how many times the water dragon died, its soul remained unharmed. For the water dragon, the entire swamp was its body. As long as its soul was intact, it couldn't be killed. But where was the soul? Lin Moyu tried to lock onto the soul but found it constantly changing positions, never fixed in one place. The soul would rise with the water dragon and fall back into the swamp when the water dragon died. This process couldn't be stopped. As the water dragon was repeatedly killed, Lin Moyu finally noticed something. Each time the water dragon exploded, it turned into a large amount of golden water falling back into the swamp. Among the golden water, there were water masses and water droplets of various sizes. But each time, one water mass was particularly bright. Lin Moyu realized that this special water mass was the key to killing the water dragon. However, the water mass appeared in different locations each time, making it hard to predict. Since it was hard to predict, he decided not to. Lin Moyu chose a straightforward solution. 1578 1578. Chapter 1578. The same problem as before. In the sky, densely packed, there appeared tens of thousands of skeletal god generals. When the water dragon reappeared, the white sword energy scattered, instantly shattering the water dragon. The water dragon exploded into countless water droplets, trying to fall back into the water marsh. Then, waves of sword energy fell from the sky, not giving the water dragon any chance to return to the water marsh. Not only the water dragon, but even the water marsh covered by the sword energy was forcibly dried out. The golden water and the sword energy neutralized and annihilated each other. The sword energy of the skeletal god generals was far inferior to the rune fragments in the water mass in terms of power level. However, they had the advantage of quantity and continuous attacks. The rune fragments were merely remnants of the power left from ancient times, and even then, they were just a tiny fraction of the remnants. Finally, amidst the overwhelming sword energy, Lin Moyu saw the special water mass. While other golden water masses were dissolving with the sword energy, this special water mass persisted in the sword energy without being destroyed. However, it no longer had the chance to fall back into the water marsh, as waves of sword energy came from all directions, hitting it. It buzzed and hummed, unable to escape. The skeletal god generals controlled their power with extreme precision, not giving it any chance to fall. Lin Moyu seemed to hear the roar of the water dragon, but it was to no avail. Under the continuous attacks, the special water mass finally couldn't withstand it and exploded. It shattered into countless water droplets, which were then annihilated by the sword energy of the skeletal god generals. This time, the water dragon truly died and did not resurrect. Lin Moyu exhaled, still cautiously observing his surroundings, not letting his guard down. In such a secret realm, relaxing vigilance could cost one's life. A few seconds later, the water marsh disappeared, and the ground returned to normal. The giant stone in midair also turned into light spots and disappeared. Only then did Lin Moyu confirm that he had passed the second stage. Reflecting on it, the second stage wasn't particularly difficult. As long as one was careful and alert, it could generally be passed. The most challenging part, the water dragon, actually had a solution. After defeating it, one just needed to prevent it from returning to the water marsh. Once separated from the water marsh, it couldn't regenerate. Using stones to catch all the water masses after the water dragon's death would completely kill it. For others, this was the best method. However, Lin Moyu chose a simpler and more direct method to solve the problem. The ground rumbled, and a golden stone pillar rose from the ground. The stone pillar was engraved with complex runes. Seeing the runes on the stone pillar, Lin Moyu felt a strange sense of familiarity. He then patted his head and laughed at himself.
I'm so foolish.
The runes on the stone pillar were still just a corner of a complete rune. But it was the culmination of all the rune fragments in the secret realm. Although Lin Moyu had forgotten the runes he had previously recorded, he still remembered what he had done. It was because he had tried to remember those runes that he felt a strange sense of familiarity. Now it seemed there was no need to remember. If he truly had the ability, just looking at the runes on the pillar would suffice, saving the trouble of piecing them together. In the past, Lin Moyu would have tried his best to remember a corner of the rune. But now he wouldn't do that. He knew that even if he remembered, it would be useless, as he would soon forget. He would only remember that he had once tried to remember a very powerful and terrifying rune but wouldn't know what the rune looked like. Since that was the case, what was the point of remembering it? Lin Moyu just glanced at it and then stopped paying attention. A black vortex appeared beside him again. The aura of the great world mixed with the power of the Human Emperor Network came from the vortex. Along with it came a reminder from the Human Emperor Network. Exploration of the second stage of the Poison Bee Secret Realm is complete. You can now choose to leave or continue to the third stage of exploration. Rewards will be settled after you leave the Secret Realm. Rewards will multiply based on your task progress. Please note, the third stage task is extremely dangerous, and the escape talisman may fail. Lin Moyu could understand the first two sentences, but the third one felt a bit strange. The third reminder clearly had an element of temptation, as if the Human Emperor Network wanted him to continue the task. Especially the fourth sentence, which explicitly stated that the third stage task was highly dangerous.
The Human Emperor Network seems to want me to continue the task, but it also seems not to want me to continue. The contradiction is obvious. For the Human Emperor Network to describe a task as extremely dangerous, it must indeed be very dangerous. At least for the second stage, the Human Emperor Network didn't say that.
During the second stage, the Human Emperor Network only mentioned that the task's danger level would increase significantly, but now it said it was extremely dangerous. The Human Emperor Network was always precise with its wording. Different words, even if similar in meaning, had completely different implications. The second stage's danger level significantly increased, indicating that some people had still completed the second stage task. But the third stage being extremely dangerous, in Lin Moyu's understanding, meant that no one had completed this task. Lin Moyu pondered for a long time and, through the vortex, communicated with the Human Emperor Network, asking his question.
Is the third stage task beneficial to you?
The same question as before. After a moment, the Human Emperor Network responded. The answer was the same as before, a simple
yes.
Lin Moyu took a deep breath.
In that case, I'll give it a try.
He believed in his strength. If even he couldn't complete it, then probably no one could. No matter how perverse the rules were, there would always be a way out. Just like the situation in the second stage, he believed he could always find a way to break through. Lin Moyu flew towards the rune pillar. In the core area of the divine city, outside the flame mass, a majestic voice sounded again.
He has made his choice. I guess he chose to continue to the third stage. Yes, he is confident in his strength. No, that's just one aspect. The main reason he chose this is because he is human. Let's be prepared. This corner of the rune might be obtained. If he has hope, we must do our best to save him. Of course.
The voices gradually faded. The flames in the void continued to burn fiercely. In the Poison Bee Secret Realm, the giant hand covered with runes extended further. Initially, it was just the palm, then the wrist, and now even the arm had emerged. The arm was also covered with runes, the same runes from the second stage. The previous runes were still there, but now they were clearer. The giant hand reached towards the sky, as if trying to grasp something. Lin Moyu was unaware of these changes. He followed his heart and was firm in his choice, without any unnecessary distractions. He arrived in front of the stone pillar. Standing before the 10,000-meter-high stone pillar, Lin Moyu was like a speck of dust, so insignificant. Lin Moyu didn't recognize the runes on the stone pillar, only knowing it was part of a complete rune, a corner. Even just a part was incredibly powerful. He used his soul power to communicate with the stone pillar. The stone pillar rumbled, and the runes glowed brightly. The world before Lin Moyu's eyes suddenly became blurry, and an irresistible force descended around him and on him.
The rules have been changed.
1579, 1579. Chapter 1579. The third stage, indeed very dangerous. At the moment when the vision became blurry, a large number of skeletal god generals appeared around Lin Moyu. This was an instinctive reaction. The secret realm was too dangerous, and unexpected events could happen at any time. Lin Moyu felt himself being teleported, and the rules around him changed. His first reaction was to summon the skeletal god generals and use bone hell to envelop himself. The vision remained blurry, and nothing could be seen. Whether using the soul eye of the other shore realm or the undead vision, he couldn't see the surroundings clearly. The soul's perception also became blurry. He could vaguely sense some things, but they were indistinct. In this completely unfavorable situation, the skeletal god generals transmitted a large amount of information back. They were under attack. For other cultivators, fighting in a situation where their eyes couldn't see was absolutely disadvantageous. Although cultivators didn't rely on their physical eyes, they heavily depended on soul perception. If both abilities were affected, their combat power would be greatly reduced. Lin Moyu immediately ordered the skeletal god generals to counterattack. Although they couldn't lock onto targets, the skeletal god generals, relying on their numbers, could still counterattack. Lin Moyu summoned more skeletal god generals, launching attacks in all directions. Unable to find the enemy, they adopted a saturation attack method, covering all directions. The attacks on the skeletal god generals were strong, surpassing the 9th level of the God King realm, reaching the level of a small god sovereign. Facing small god sovereign level attacks, the skeletal god generals were continuously injured, suffering severe damage. Lin Moyu snapped his fingers, and the Legion ruler appeared, healing the skeletal god generals. As time passed, the attacks seemed to intensify. The damage to the skeletal god generals also became more severe. Although the Legion ruler could still heal, Lin Moyu had to summon more and more skeletal god generals. At this point, even the Legion ruler was under attack. The source of the attacks was unknown, as were the methods and rules used. All that was known was that the attacks were omnidirectional, affecting all skeletal god generals and Legion rulers simultaneously. The degree of damage they suffered was identical. Due to the difference in realms, the Legion ruler suffered more damage than the skeletal god generals. Most of the Legion ruler's healing spells were used on itself. Only Lin Moyu, the master, was not attacked for some reason.
This can't go on.
Lin Moyu knew that if the attacks continued to intensify, his undead army would eventually be overwhelmed. Of course, he could gamble that the attacks had a limit. But he didn't dare to gamble because this was the power of rules. In the face of the power of rules, he couldn't afford to gamble. Unable to see, Lin Moyu quickly reviewed the entire process in his mind. He suddenly realized that when the Legion ruler first appeared, it wasn't attacked. It was only after the Legion ruler healed the skeletal god generals that it was attacked.
In other words, except for the first wave of attacks, the subsequent attacks were passive, not active. Let's test it.
With a thought, a skeletal god general appeared beside him. This skeletal god general remained motionless, not launching any attacks. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 10 seconds passed, and it was not attacked. Lin Moyu knew he had guessed correctly. Except for the first wave of attacks, the subsequent attacks were all passive. It was his counterattack orders that caused the skeletal god generals to be attacked. The Legion ruler was also attacked because it healed the skeletal god generals. Now he had 2 choices. Let the current 100,000 skeletal god generals and tens of thousands of Legion rulers endure the attacks until they reached their limit and were destroyed. This loss was not significant for him and was entirely bearable. Being able to bear it was one thing, but whether he was willing to bear it was another. Lin Moyu didn't want his undead army to sacrifice in vain. It wasn't that the undead army couldn't die, but they shouldn't die pointlessly. Without much hesitation, Lin Moyu made a decision. Bone Hell instantly expanded, enveloping all the skeletal god generals. Lin Moyu joined the battle in his own way. This action was clearly seen as an attack. The next wave of attacks fell, including Lin Moyu. Bone Hell shook violently, trembling incessantly. The skeletal god generals and Legion rulers were also attacked. The attacks ignored the obstruction of Bone Hell, hitting them in a way Lin Moyu couldn't understand.
Mark.
Lin Moyu whispered in his heart. One of Bone Hell's functions was to mark attackers. The mark target could be locked onto by the soul. Sure enough, a mark appeared in Lin Moyu's consciousness. In the next second, the soul locked onto it. There was no need to see it. As long as it was marked, it could be locked onto and couldn't escape.
Attack!
With a whisper in his heart, 100,000 skeletal god generals simultaneously swung their swords, attacking the target. Sword energy swept through, and a white mass appeared in the blurry vision. Boom! A more intense counterattack occurred, and the undead army suffered severe damage again. The Legion ruler was busy healing, and all the skeletal god generals were enveloped in white light. Lin Moyu sensed that the marked target was not without damage. It was indeed injured, but not severely enough. With determination, more skeletal god generals appeared. If 100,000 skeletal god generals weren't enough, then 1,000,000. As long as the space could accommodate them, 10 times more wouldn't be a problem. The white sword energy filled the mysterious space, as if something was being torn apart. Lin Moyu heard a scream. Light appeared in his vision, quickly restoring clarity. He saw a monster looking at him in horror. The monster was round and covered in spikes. Seeing it, Lin Moyu thought of a sea urchin. In the small world, many people like to eat sea urchins. But the sea urchin monster before him was hundreds or thousands of times larger. It was at least 1 kilometer long, with a round body covered in spikes, and hundreds of eyes among the spikes. All the eyes showed the same emotion: fear. In the places without eyes, Lin Moyu saw a rune. It resembled a corner of the rune on the stone pillar but was different. The rune had been broken by him, injuring the sea urchin monster.
The one affecting my vision and launching indiscriminate attacks was this rune.
Lin Moyu quickly made a judgment. The sea urchin monster's strength was average, only at the small god sovereign level. It wasn't much stronger than the skeletal god generals. Even an ordinary human small god sovereign could defeat it. His greatest strength was the rune. Lin Moyu didn't recognize the rune, but knew it had the power of rules, capable of launching strange attacks. The sea urchin monster screamed, seemingly warning Lin Moyu, then turned to flee.
Dream on if you think you can escape.
The skeletal god generals quickly acted, their sword energy engulfing it. Without the rune, the sea urchin monster had no other path but death against 1,000,000 skeletal god generals. After killing the sea urchin monster, Lin Moyu didn't feel much relief. Without Bone Hell, he might not have passed this stage. If it were another cultivator, even a small god sovereign, they would likely be helpless here. As the attacks intensified, they would ultimately meet their end. The third stage was indeed very dangerous. 1,581,580. Chapter 1580. The difference between laws and rules. The sea urchin monster died without emitting a golden beam or releasing golden light spots. Its corpse disappeared silently, leaving behind a broken rune fragment in the void. For safety, Lin Moyu did not directly take the rune fragment but instead sent a skeletal god general to retrieve it. The skeletal god general touched the rune, and nothing happened. After waiting for a while and confirming there were no issues, the skeletal god general brought the rune fragment back. In the current situation, caution was necessary. A single mistake could lead to death and the end of his path. No one knew how the rules had been altered. Facing the rules, Lin Moyu felt that his power level was too low to resist. He took the rune fragment and carefully observed it. The rune on the stone pillar was just a corner of a complete rune. The fragment before him was even smaller, just a tiny piece. Its essence was the same as the rune fragments on the poison bees and fish monsters, but it was more complete and powerful. The different levels of rune fragments had entirely different effects and powers. The poison bees contained the fewest rune fragments, making them the weakest. The fish monsters in the second stage were stronger, and the golden water masses were even more powerful. Now, the sea urchin monster in the third stage was even stronger. The changes in the runes not only increased their power but also produced strange effects. For example, the golden rain in the second stage could turn people into gold, and the sea urchin monster's nearly infinite counterattacks were also due to the runes. Lin Moyu didn't know what changes the next runes would bring, so he had to be increasingly cautious. The rune fragment was covered in cracks and already broken. It had lost its divine essence, but Lin Moyu could still sense its uniqueness. It looked like a broken jade token filled with impurities, but it was actually formed by the power of rules. This alone was enough to show its extraordinary nature. From a material perspective, it had reached the level of the other shore realm. In the hands of others, it would be useless, just a piece of high-level waste. But in Lin Moyu's hands,
Maybe I can use it to summon an elemental lich. Let's try.
Lin Moyu's eyes sparkled with an idea. He thought there would be no loss even if he failed. He held the rune in his palm and attempted to summon an elemental lich. The spell was successfully cast without any issues.
There's hope.
Lin Moyu was delighted, realizing he might summon an elemental lich of the other shore realm. Even if it wasn't of the other shore realm, it would at least be a high-level god sovereign, greatly enhancing his combat power. The rune seemed to be influenced by some power, and a hidden trace of divine essence was activated. The rune revived, illuminating the void. Lin Moyu's joy lasted less than 2 seconds. With a crisp crack, the rune completely shattered. The summoning failed, and the elemental lich did not appear.
Is it because the rune is too broken, or is it due to the spell itself?
Lin Moyu pondered, backtracking from the feedback he received. He recalled every detail of the elemental lich spell, from when it was a skill to its current form. He concluded that the failure was more than 70% likely due to the spell. When the elemental lich was still a skill, using it to summon a lich beyond the skill level resulted in an extremely unstable lich that would self-destruct upon summoning. Lin Moyu had used this characteristic to turn the elemental lich into a weapon, his trump card, saving himself from life-threatening situations multiple times. Now, it seemed he encountered the same problem. The rune's level was too high, while his level was too low. The elemental lich spell still used the power of laws, not reaching the level of rules. Although there was only a one-word difference between laws and rules, the gap was immense. Using a rule-level rune as material naturally led to failure. Even if it succeeded, the lich would likely lose control and self-destruct. Lin Moyu thought deeply, recalling the events in the Tulu world. He realized that his spells were not omnipotent and had many limitations. Exceeding the spell's capability would lead to loss of control and undesirable outcomes. Therefore, the failure to summon the elemental lich might not be a bad thing. If it had succeeded, it could have been a bigger problem. He then sent the skeletal god generals to explore in all directions. The undead flames drew long lines of fire in the silent void. Within seconds, a skeletal god general was suddenly attacked. The attack was abrupt, and the flying skeletal god general was struck by a powerful force, losing its direction. Its white bones shattered, nearly disintegrating with a single blow. The attack was purely physical and extremely powerful. The Legion ruler healed the skeletal god general from a distance. Lin Moyu quickly connected to the skeletal god general's vision to find the attacker. In the void, a small god's sovereign-level soul fire burned brightly. In the gray and white world, Lin Moyu saw its form. It was a giant poison bee, over 100 meters long, with a thick proboscis. The proboscis wasn't sharp, but at its tip was a shining rune fragment. Seeing the giant poison bee, Lin Moyu instinctively knew it was the poison bee king.
So the poison bee king is at the small god sovereign level, and with the rule level rune fragment, even ordinary small god sovereigns would have to flee.
While Lin Moyu observed the poison bee king, its rune fragment suddenly lit up. Without any visible movement, the skeletal god general was struck again. The newly healed bones shattered instantly, suffering even more damage than before. This attack was stronger than the previous one. The skeletal god general was sent flying, and the poison bee king appeared in its original position. The speed was so fast it seemed like teleportation.
So fast.
Lin Moyu's eyes narrowed. He was connected to the skeletal god general's vision and personally experienced the Poison Bee King's attack. Its speed far exceeded that of a small god sovereign, even surpassing ordinary god sovereigns. Encountering the Poison Bee King, one would need to use an escape talisman immediately. Otherwise, there might not even be a chance to flee. The Poison Bee King didn't give the skeletal god general a chance to recover. It twisted its body and attacked again. The skeletal god general couldn't react in time and was struck, its body shattering with a loud bang, leaving only its head intact. The soul fire in the head still burned strongly. Lin Moyu wanted to recall the skeletal god general, but it failed. The skeletal god general was locked onto by the Poison Bee King and couldn't be retrieved. The Poison Bee King attacked the remaining head fiercely. White sword energy flew from afar, but the Poison Bee King didn't dodge. It used the rune fragment to collide with the sword energy. 1581, 1581. Chapter 1581. The Hunting Ground of Life and Death. The Poison Bee King remained motionless, and the rune on the tip of its proboscis flashed brightly, forcibly dispersing the sword energy. Lin Moyu connected to the skeletal god general's vision again. Before he could see clearly, the newly resurrected skeletal god general was struck again. His head shattered instantly. This strike was heavier than the previous two. The undead resurrection activated, and the skeletal god general that had just died was resurrected on the spot. Lin Moyu silently reconnected to its vision. Even before he could see clearly, the newly resurrected skeletal god general was struck again. Its body exploded, killed again, unable to withstand even a single strike. Lin Moyu didn't let it resurrect again but ordered the nearby skeletal god generals to rush over. The Poison Bee King switched targets, its massive body flickering and jumping in the void, instantly appearing in front of the skeletal god general that had just unleashed the sword energy. With a forceful thrust of its proboscis, the skeletal god general had no time to react and was shattered instantly.
Its attacks are getting stronger each time, just like the sea urchin monster before. The difference is that the sea urchin monster attacked indiscriminately in groups, while the Poison Bee King attacks individually.
The two monsters' rune fragments had slight differences, resulting in their different attack methods. Knowing the enemy's attack pattern, Lin Moyu had a countermeasure. The skeletal god generals quickly approached but did not attack. The Poison Bee King initiated its attack when the skeletal god generals approached a certain distance. Its attack frequency was very high, launching dozens of attacks per second. However, the number of skeletal god generals was too great, with hundreds of millions approaching simultaneously. Under the blessing of Lin Moyu's undead passive spells, to truly kill a skeletal god general, it had to be killed 5 times in a row. Soon, the skeletal god generals surrounded the Poison Bee King. Only then did Lin Moyu order them to attack. The Poison Bee King was too fast. If it wasn't surrounded, it might not be hit accurately. Having learned from the previous experience with the sea urchin monster, if the attack power wasn't enough to destroy the rune fragment, it would be difficult to harm the Poison Bee King's main body. To kill the Poison Bee King, he had to first destroy the rune fragment. The skeletal god generals surrounded the Poison Bee King, and dense sword energy rained down on it. The rune fragment flashed brightly, and the Poison Bee King continuously thrust its proboscis to deflect the sword energy. It moved at incredible speed, leaving afterimages. With each attack, the rune's power grew stronger, shattering a large amount of sword energy. However, the skeletal god generals were too numerous. No matter how fast it was, it could only block a tiny fraction of the sword energy. Finally, the rune could no longer withstand it and began to crack. After persisting for a few seconds, accompanied by a crisp sound, the rune was damaged and lost its effect. Without the protection of the rune, the Poison Bee King was instantly engulfed by the sword energy. After the attack, only a shattered rune fragment remained in the void. It was similar to the rune fragment left by the sea urchin monster, with only slight differences in detail. After the Poison Bee King's death, Lin Moyu noticed a slight change in the void. This empty space seemed to have become a little brighter. It was as if some light had penetrated through. He extinguished all the undead flames and recalled all the skeletal god generals. Confirming that he was not mistaken, the void had indeed become a little brighter. In true darkness, even a slight change would be noticeable. Lin Moyu knew what he had to do. He needed to hunt down the monsters in the void. Once he killed enough, this void would become bright, and he could then find the way forward. This void was a hunting ground, a terrifying place of life and death. The monsters here hid in the darkness, ready to launch deadly attacks at any moment. The first few attacks might not be strong, giving you time to react. But that time was very short. If you couldn't think of a solution within that short time, you would face death. For any small god sovereign, this was an extremely dangerous area. But for Lin Moyu, the danger here was not that high, not even as dangerous as the Golden Rain in the second stage. In a pure contest of power, he was not afraid. The skeletal god generals flew out in all directions again, searching for targets. Their role was to lure out the monsters. Soon, another monster appeared. This time it was a water dragon, identical to the one seen in the second stage. However, the water dragon in the third stage was stronger, reaching the small god sovereign realm. Its attacks were weaker than the poison bee king's, but it could spit golden water capable of turning the skeletal god generals into gold, completely killing them. In the end, it too died under the skeletal god general's siege. One by one, the monsters were discovered and killed. Seeking fresh flowers, during the process, the skeletal god generals also suffered casualties. Fortunately, Lin Moyu replenished them in time. With his spells linked, these losses were merely a drop in the ocean. Among the monsters, the most troublesome was the sea urchin monster. The sea urchin monster's rune fragment could not only attack indiscriminately in groups but also change the rules in a large area. Within the area where the rules were changed, sight was obscured, and it couldn't be locked onto. Just these two characteristics alone made the sea urchin monster very difficult to deal with. However, there was a trade-off. The sea urchin monster's attack power was relatively weak. In a short time, it couldn't cause much damage to the skeletal god generals. When the skeletal god generals scattered and converged on it, the sea urchin monster's doom arrived. Pieces of shattered rune fragments fell into Lin Moyu's hands. Although these rune fragments were currently useless, in the future, when he reached the other shore realm and his spell's essence changed from laws to rules, these rune fragments would become excellent materials for summoning elemental liches. Such materials would be priceless in the outside world. As more and more monsters were killed, the void gradually became brighter. From night to dawn, Lin Moyu finally saw a stone pillar. The stone pillar did not seem to exist before but suddenly appeared when the void space underwent a certain change. The stone pillar was engraved with runes, a corner of a complete rune, identical to the one on the pillar outside. Lin Moyu even felt that the pillar outside had come here. The corner rune flashed brightly, as if welcoming Lin Moyu's arrival. Then, a beam of light enveloped the entire stone pillar, shooting into the sky and completely illuminating the void space. The void space was vast, and the area Lin Moyu had previously explored was less than a third of it. A large number of monsters hidden in the void were now revealed by the light, letting out shrill cries. One by one, their bodies disintegrated, turning into streams of light and merging into the giant pillar. The runes on the giant pillar became clearer, and the light grew brighter, becoming dazzling. Lin Moyu only glanced at it twice, not daring to continue looking. The light from the corner rune was like an arrow, piercing his eyes. He switched to the undead vision, continuing to observe the changes in the giant pillar. From the beam of light shooting up from the giant pillar, a massive figure emerged. The figure was tens of thousands of meters tall, towering above the ground. Lin Moyu was but a speck of dust before it. Its figure rapidly solidified, covered in flowing rune fragments. It grasped the giant pillar, which instantly turned into a staff, rapidly thickening and lengthening. Finally, what appeared before Lin Moyu was a terrifying giant holding a staff tens of thousands of meters long, enveloped in runes.
Is this the final boss monster? It looks quite formidable.
The giant emanated an aura surpassing the small god-sovereign realm, but in Lin Moyu's perception, it had not yet reached the god-sovereign realm. However, considering the runes covering its body, even a god-sovereign would find it troublesome to face it. The giant let out a furious roar and swung its staff. Lin Moyu snapped his fingers, and the undead flames began to burn fiercely. 1582 1582. Chapter 1582. At least not slapped out. Stellar level spell. Summon Skeleton King. The undead flames burned fiercely, and a magnificent and exquisite skeleton throne emerged from the flames. Lin Moyu's Skeleton King, towering 10,000 meters high, stood up from the throne. It wore intricately designed heavy armor, and a bone cloak behind it burned with intense flames. The magnificent skeleton throne shattered, transforming into an equally magnificent and exquisite two-handed bone sword. At this moment, the giant staff of the rune giant had already swung out. The stone staff moved so fast that it disappeared from sight, leaving no afterimage. Countless skeletal god generals were struck by an invisible force, shattering and dying on the spot. The stone staff inherited several characteristics of the runes. Not only was it fast and powerful, but it also had a wide attack range. At least 10,000 skeletal god generals died under the staff. Lin Moyu's heart moved, and the skeletal god generals quickly retreated, avoiding the attack from a distance. The Skeleton King had already drawn its sword. Facing the equally towering rune giant, the Skeleton King swung its bone sword. Spell: Godslaying Slash. A galaxy of white bones appeared above the Skeleton King's head. In the galaxy, the bones surged like waves, forming countless skeletons. These skeletons also swung their swords along with the Skeleton King. Sword light shone on the rune giant, breaking numerous runes. The rune giant was sent flying by the powerful force, its protective runes shattered by more than half. However, the rune giant did not die, and its aura did not weaken much. Compared to the abyssal dragon demon in the 4-star region competition, the rune giant was much stronger. At that time, the Skeleton King had killed the abyssal dragon demon with one strike, not even showing its full strength. Standing on the galaxy, the Skeleton King looked down at the rune giant like a king. Holding the bone sword with both hands, it struck like lightning. The sword strikes fell like rain, densely packed. In the galaxy of white bones, countless skeletons also wielded their swords, slashing at the rune giant. More runes shattered, and the rune giant roared in anger, swinging its stone staff at the Skeleton King. The bone cloak behind the Skeleton King moved without wind, transforming into a shield to meet the stone staff. With a loud bang, the shield shattered, but the stone staff was also repelled. The shield exploded into flames, which reformed and returned to the Skeleton King's back as a cloak. The Skeleton King's attack was unaffected. The giant sword created countless afterimages, striking thousands of times per second. The galaxy of white bones firmly held the rune giant, preventing its escape. More and more runes shattered. The rune giant roared and spat out golden water. Lin Moyu's pupils contracted. He knew the golden water was a deadly weapon against his undead army. Although the Skeleton King lacked wisdom, it had strong combat instincts. Realizing the threat of the golden water, its eyes glowed red, and the undead flames surged. In an instant, the Skeleton King turned into a being of fire. The flames clashed with the golden water, producing a harsh hissing sound. The rune fragments in the golden water were burned away by the undead flames, rendering them ineffective. Although the golden water was powerful and contained the power of rules, it was too weak. The Skeleton King's power had reached the true god sovereign level, and its undead flames even surpassed Lin Moyu's. With enough undead flames, the golden water was incinerated. In the flames, the Skeleton King raised its bone sword and thrust it like lightning. The bone sword pierced through the rune giant's mouth and head. The sword glowed, and Lin Moyu seemed to hear the call of the bones. In the galaxy of white bones, countless skeletons raised their swords simultaneously. The Skeleton King exerted its strength, forcibly slashing within the rune giant. All the power of the galaxy of white bones was concentrated in this strike. This strike was even stronger than the god-slaying slash. The dazzling sword light exploded from within the rune giant, shattering all the runes. The rune giant screamed and collapsed, its body disintegrating into fragments. The rune giant died, its body fading away, and the stone staff disintegrated, leaving behind a corner of a rune. This corner of the rune was much more complete than the previous rune fragments Lin Moyu had obtained. Although it was covered in cracks and had lost its divine essence, it was still a valuable material. For others, it might be useless, but for Lin Moyu, it was highly useful. Lin Moyu took the rune fragment and put it away. This battle fully demonstrated the Skeleton King's combat power, which was comparable to any low-level god sovereign. If a god sovereign had a powerful treasure, they might defeat the Skeleton King, but it wouldn't be easy. Lin Moyu realized that as his realm increased, his ability to fight across levels seemed to grow stronger. Unlike other geniuses, whose ability to fight across levels weakened as their realm increased, Lin Moyu felt he was becoming more formidable. After putting away the broken rune fragment, the surrounding void became blurry again. This blurriness lasted for about 10 seconds before the scene became clear again. Lin Moyu found himself back in the secret realm, facing the giant stone pillar with runes. However, the runes on the stone pillar were now cracked and had lost their divine essence. Lin Moyu knew that this corner of the rune was now useless.
Did I pass the third stage?
There was no prompt, nor did a vortex appear to leave the secret realm, so Lin Moyu didn't know if he had passed the third stage. After waiting for a few minutes, he finally sensed something. Looking up, he saw a black dot in the sky. The black dot quickly enlarged, revealing an arm covered in runes. Lin Moyu's heart tightened, then relaxed. He sensed the aura of the Human Emperor network from the arm, indicating it came from the network. The arm grabbed the giant stone pillar and forcefully pulled it out. Lin Moyu felt the entire secret realm shaking violently, with continuous rumbling sounds. The ground cracked, and the clouds fell, as if the world was collapsing, giving a sense of impending doom. A vortex appeared beside Lin Moyu, and the voice of the Human Emperor network sounded in his ear.
Get out!
Without hesitation, Lin Moyu entered the vortex and left the secret realm. In the next second, he returned to the Divine City Star region. He sensed the presence of cultivators around him, with at least hundreds nearby. The surrounding space twisted continuously as more people emerged from the secret realm. Numerous exclamations filled the air.
What happened to the secret realm? Why did the entrance vortex disappear? Why are so many people coming out? Did something change inside?
People who had just left the secret realm also looked puzzled.
I was fighting the poison bees, and suddenly I was out. Me too. It felt like a giant hand threw me out. I was slapped out. I was about to kill the poison bee queen. What happened?
Various voices filled the air. Lin Moyu listened to their exclamations and realized he was relatively fortunate. Most of these people had been forcibly ejected. It seemed the Human Emperor network treated him well, at least not slapping him out. 1583 1583. Chapter 1583. Divine City Announcement. Prominent Figures. Everyone in the secret realm was expelled. Lin Moyu didn't know what the Human Emperor network was planning, but he was sure it was something significant. The Human Emperor network's actions indicated that something major was about to happen. It might not even be the Human Emperor network's doing, but rather the actions of those powerful beings at the other shore realm. Amidst the confusion, everyone who had been expelled from the secret realm simultaneously received a notification from the Human Emperor network. The noisy scene instantly quieted down. All those who have left the secret realm are considered to have completed the secret realm task and will receive a unified reward of 10 points of Divine City merits. Those who had been complaining a moment ago now showed expressions of joy. They were all considered to have completed the task and received 10 points of Divine City merits. There was no better news than this, and the complaints disappeared instantly. Everyone was overjoyed, their faces beaming with happiness. Those who hadn't been in the secret realm were curious and asked what had happened. Upon hearing about the reward from the Human Emperor Network, they regretted not entering the secret realm, missing out on the 10 points of Divine City merits. Lin Moyu stood silently to the side, hearing different information from others. Congratulations on completing the first stage of the Poison Bee Secret Realm task. Reward: 10 points of Divine City merits. Congratulations on completing the second stage of the Poison Bee Secret Realm task. Reward: 50 points of Divine City merits. Congratulations on completing the third stage of the Poison Bee Secret Realm task. Reward: 200 points of Divine City merits. Congratulations on fully clearing the Poison Bee Secret Realm. Reward: 300 points of Divine City merits. For notifications echoed in his mind. A total of 560 points of Divine City merits as task rewards. Lin Moyu couldn't help but murmur,
It seems earning Divine City merits isn't that difficult after all.
Previously, during the competition, Su Jianxing had said that earning Divine City merits was extremely difficult. Even earning 1 point of merit was not easy. But in his first task, entering his first secret realm, he had earned 560 points of Divine City merits. Adding the 300 points he already had, his Divine City merits suddenly increased to 860 points. Suddenly, someone exclaimed,
Look, the secret realm is disappearing.
Everyone looked at the secret realm, and the light ball of the secret realm was gradually shrinking. A few seconds later, the light ball shattered like a bubble and disappeared from everyone's sight. Someone exclaimed,
I know, someone has cleared the Poison Bee secret realm. I remember, when someone clears a secret realm, it permanently closes. Oh my God! No wonder we were expelled. Someone cleared the entire secret realm. Who is this amazing person? I want to worship them. I want to worship them too. This is not something an ordinary person can do.
Everyone was looking for the person who cleared the Poison Bee secret realm, trying to find out who it was. In the history of the human race, there have always been extraordinary individuals with combat power far beyond ordinary cultivators. Some secret realms have been completely cleared by these people. Each time a secret realm is cleared, it permanently closes. But with hundreds of people present, no one admitted to it, making it difficult to find the person who cleared it. Lin Moyu tried to sneak away, not wanting to attract attention, as it would be too troublesome. At this moment, someone shouted,
The Human Emperor Network has issued an announcement. Everyone, check it out.
An announcement? Lin Moyu was stunned. What was an announcement? Instinctively, he entered the Human Emperor Network and saw a huge announcement displayed in text form. He could close the announcement with a thought, but if he didn't, it would remain. Divine City announcement. Primary personnel Lin Moyu has successfully cleared the Primary 12998 star system Poison Bee Secret Realm. This secret realm will now be permanently closed, and related tasks will be cancelled.
So this is an announcement, only issued to the Divine City Star region. No wonder I hadn't seen it before.
The Divine City Star region is the base of the Human Emperor Network, where its power far exceeds that of the outside world. Here, the Human Emperor Network can easily interfere with reality and perform many operations. Others might not understand what clearing a secret realm means, but Lin Moyu did. Ultimately, it was the giant hand formed by the Human Emperor Network that forcibly took the rune pillar. It wasn't the Human Emperor Network that closed the secret realm. It was because the rune was taken, causing the secret realm to disappear. The secret realm was originally created by that corner of the rune, and now that the rune was gone, the secret realm naturally vanished. Lin Moyu understood this, knowing that the rune was related to the power of rules and ancient secrets. The powerful beings at the other shore realm in the human race were all very interested in ancient matters. Not only the powerful beings, but Lin Moyu himself had collected many rune fragments this time. He speculated that other secret realms might also contain various runes. If he cleared a few more, he could collect more rune fragments and earn more rewards. Meanwhile, the Human Emperor Network could obtain ancient runes. This win-win situation seemed quite appealing and worth pursuing. Just as Lin Moyu was thinking about which secret realm to tackle next, he felt countless gazes on him.
Oops.
Lin Moyu realized something was wrong. He had been so caught up in his thoughts that he forgot the Human Emperor Network's announcement would make him the center of attention. Moreover, his information wasn't fully hidden. Everyone could see his name and realm. There were many people named Lin Moyu, but in this place he was likely the only one. Sure enough, Lin Moyu found himself surrounded, making it difficult to leave.
Master Lin, I bow to you. Junior brother Lin, it's really you. You're amazing. How did you do it? Do you have any secrets? How many stages are there in the Poison Bee secret realm? What are the rewards for clearing it?
Everyone bombarded him with questions, looking at him as if he were a true deity. At the same time, Lin Moyu received a large amount of belief power. With the Divine City announcement, belief power began to pour into Lin Moyu. For the cultivators in the Divine City Star region, the first place in the 4-star region competition was impressive, but they had their own pride. Many believed that the Divine City was the most powerful place. Even the first place in the 4-star region competition would be just an ordinary genius in the Divine City. Historically, many first-place winners ended up as ordinary talents in the Divine City. Now, Lin Moyu had come to the Divine City and immediately cleared a secret realm. This was like a bombshell. Clearing a secret realm was not something an ordinary genius could do. Even top-tier geniuses couldn't achieve it. In the history of the human race, those who could clear secret realms were rare. If secret realms were easy to clear, there wouldn't be so many in the Divine City Star region. They would have been cleared long ago. Lin Moyu's actions proved that he was a true top-tier genius. On star 12,998-1, in the Mu family, Mu Shiyuan rushed into Mu Xiaogu's courtyard, shouting,
Xiaogu, check the announcement quickly.
Mu Xiaogu, who was meditating, was startled by her father's loud voice and complained,
Dad, you almost scared me to death.
Despite her complaints, Mu Xiaogu checked the announcement in the Human Emperor Network. The next second, she was stunned. Her mouth twitched, and after a long time, she finally said,
Junior brother Lin, you're amazing.
In the tea house, Qiu Ji let his teacup fall to the ground, speechless. He wasn't the only one. Many in the tea house had the same expression. Qiu Ji couldn't believe that the secret realm that almost killed him was cleared by Lin Moyu. How did he do it? 1584 Chapter 1584 Third Tier Ancient Rune, Fishing in the Sea of Laws. The entire Divine City Star region was in an uproar because of this announcement. Lin Moyu instantly became the focal point of the Divine City. In every area, regardless of level, countless people were discussing Lin Moyu at the same time. Unfortunately, Lin Moyu's information had now been hidden and classified as top secret. Even peak god sovereigns like Zhu Tian couldn't access it. Only those at the other shore realm could view Lin Moyu's information. Some of Lin Moyu's deeds could only be spread by those in the know, but the accuracy of these accounts was questionable. In the pitch-black void, Lin Moyu flew silently and invisibly. He had hidden his information, making it impossible for people to find out who he was. After finally breaking free from the crowd, he transformed into a stream of light, shaking off everyone. Being surrounded felt like being in a zoo, with everyone watching a rare animal. Lin Moyu wasn't the type to enjoy flattery and praise. He preferred being down to earth. Compared to this, he found people like Chu Xiong and even Mu Xiaogu more to his liking. He didn't even return to the 12,998 star system, but instead flew towards the nearest 12,301 star system. He knew that many people had already arrived at the 12,998 star system. If he went back, he would be walking into a trap. Traveling from one star system to another was a long journey. Based on the distance, it would take about 100 days of flying. This was the closest distance, and Lin Moyu had no choice. He couldn't afford to waste 100 days. Lin Moyu summoned a skeletal dragon to carry him while he used the time to systematically study runes. He could still access the Human Emperor Network here and compare it with the information in
Fuyu.
100 days wasn't long enough to fully understand runes, but it was enough to establish a basic framework. Besides studying runes, he also needed to research the power of belief. His power of belief was now unprecedentedly vast and growing every moment. The power of belief had many wonderful uses, but he hadn't had much time to explore them. His cultivation time had been too short, and he had been moving too fast. Now, he could use these 100 days to calm down, study the information, and settle his soul. In the core area of the Divine City, within a blazing fireball, a giant hand covered in runes flew out, bringing back the rune obtained from the Poison Beast secret realm. The rune fell into the hands of Elder Su. Although this rune was just a corner and somewhat incomplete, it still contained powerful rule-based power. This power was so intense that even looking at it would cause Lin Moyu's eyes to sting, and forcibly memorizing it would lead to quick forgetfulness. For other god kings, just one glance would be enough to shatter their souls and end their lives. Half a day later, a majestic voice slowly spoke.
Have you discerned anything?
Elder Su replied.
This is just a corner of a rune, altering some rules, but its power is not strong. If I'm not mistaken, this rune in its complete form should be a third-tier ancient rune. Only third tier?
The voice asked again. Elder Su nodded.
It should be. After all, it's just a secret realm in a primary star region. Third tier is already quite high.
After a moment of silence, the majestic voice spoke again.
What about the little guy who cleared the secret realm?
Lady Yu chuckled.
He's flying. He doesn't dare to return to the star system to use the teleportation array.
Gentle laughter echoed in the silent starry sky. This situation had been anticipated long ago. The skeletal dragon transformed into a stream of light, flying towards the nearest 12,301 life star system at a speed of 150,000 kilometers per second. In the great world, the distances between star systems are vast, usually measured in light years. At Lin Moyu's speed, it would take several years to traverse. But the Divine City is different. The star regions within the Divine City have been clearly manipulated, and the distances between star systems are not far. If you shrink the map of the Divine City, you can see that the distances between star systems seem to follow specific rules. All the star systems are arranged in a special pattern. Lin Moyu sat cross-legged on the back of the skeletal dragon, his consciousness fully immersed in the Human Emperor Network. The Human Emperor Network contains 5 Human Emperor training grounds, each with a sea of laws. 4 of these seas belong to the 4 major star regions of the human race. The central Sea of Laws belongs to the Divine City. The Sea of Laws in the Divine City is not freely accessible. Only those who have obtained Divine City qualifications can enter. Besides qualifications, there are other conditions. Of course, Lin Moyu met all these conditions. The Sea of Laws in the Divine City is much larger than those in the 4 major star regions, with more comprehensive laws. It almost covers all third-tier laws. Nearly half of the second-tier laws are also present. Most of the well-known laws can be found here, represented by corresponding law stars. Through these law stars, one can quickly comprehend laws, greatly accelerating cultivation speed. Moreover, time in the Sea of Laws is accelerated. With Lin Moyu's current realm, he could reach the maximum acceleration of 100 times. Training here for 100 days would only be equivalent to 1 day in the outside world. The law stars in the Sea of Laws were useless to Lin Moyu. What he needed was the 100 times time acceleration to gain more time for himself. He scanned the Sea of Laws, looking for a quiet spot. There were many people here, all quietly sitting and comprehending their respective laws. Soon, Lin Moyu found a corner and sat down quietly. He didn't need to comprehend laws. He just needed to be within the Sea of Laws coverage. Lin Moyu observed the Sea of Laws for a while and muttered to himself,
If I get the chance, I must visit the real Sea of Laws in the future.
The Sea of Laws before him was a virtual world within the Human Emperor Network, not real. In the real world, there is a true Sea of Laws. The Sea of Laws in the Human Emperor Network is actually a projection of the real Sea of Laws. The virtual Sea of Laws in the Human Emperor Network is already extremely magnificent, So the real one must be even grander. A nearby elderly voice said,
Young man, you have great ambitions.
Lin Moyu was slightly startled and turned to see an old man in black sitting not far from him. The old man was holding a fishing rod. Fishing. Lin Moyu was dumbfounded. Were there fish in the sea of laws? Although it was called a sea, it wasn't a real sea. It was filled with intertwined laws, projected by the human emperor network, not real. Then, Lin Moyu's eyes narrowed. He realized that the old man wasn't real either. The old man, like the sea of laws, was a projection of the human emperor network. In other words, the old man was not only fishing here but also fishing in the real sea of laws. Lin Moyu's heart trembled, and he roughly guessed the old man's identity. He was either a powerful being at the other shore realm or the spirit of the sea of laws. If the real sea of laws were considered a powerful treasure, it wouldn't be impossible for it to have a spirit. Lin Moyu asked,
Senior, have you caught any fish?
The old man's voice was calm.
Does it matter?
Lin Moyu pondered for a moment and then smiled.
Thank you for the lesson, Senior.
The old man gently shook his head.
I didn't say anything.
He said nothing, but he said everything. 1585 1585. Chapter 1585. Establishing his own rune system. Lin Moyu asked about the result, and the old man answered about the process. Sometimes the result is very important, but many times the process is equally crucial. Sometimes the result is predetermined, and no matter how much effort is put in, the result may not be good. But if no effort is made, the result will almost certainly be bad. Isn't everyone striving for a good result? Lin Moyu reflected on himself, knowing that he was in such a situation. He was working hard to become stronger, strong enough to change everything, to defy fate. But could he really do it? He wasn't sure, not at all. He could only give his all in the process. But the final result was really hard to say. The runes of the great world are strong, the ultimate goal pursued by everyone in the great world. But even the runes of the great world are still broken. They encountered a more powerful and terrifying force. Even the runes of the great world cannot control their own result. So Lin Moyu's goal was very high and grand. He wanted to surpass the runes of the great world, to truly control all results. He gathered all the rune materials he could find, starting from the most basic free materials, reading them bit by bit. Later, he found some materials that required points to access, and he bought them all, spending points to acquire them. There were many rune materials costing nearly 10 million points. But he was wealthy with assets exceeding 700 million points. 10 million points were just a drop in the bucket. In the Sea of Laws in the Divine City, others had to spend 100,000 points every day to train. If they trained here for 100 days, that would be 10 million points. This was not a small amount. Many god kings couldn't come up with 10 million points. After all, with the 100 times time acceleration, 10 million points were well worth it. Compared to the time house, the time spent in the Sea of Laws could accelerate the understanding of laws without consuming real lifespan, offering many benefits. Most god kings who came here to train experienced both pain and joy. As for Lin Moyu, he didn't need to spend any points. He had a total of 3,500 days of training time in the Human Emperor training ground, meaning he could stay in the Sea of Laws for 3,500 days without spending any points. 3,500 days in the Human Emperor network was nearly 10 years, equivalent to 35 days in the real world. After repeatedly receiving training time rewards from the Human Emperor training ground, Lin Moyu had never had the chance to use them. This time he could use all the time. For the remaining time he could choose to use points. As for the Divine City merits, he would avoid using them if possible. As time passed, Lin Moyu absorbed a vast amount of knowledge related to runes. In his mind, he gradually established a complete rune system. This was a system formed entirely based on his own understanding, self-taught from existing materials without any guidance. The system might be imperfect, but it bore Lin Moyu's own imprint, different from anyone else's. Imperfections didn't matter. As Lin Moyu's research on runes deepened and his vision broadened, most imperfections would be corrected. During the process of establishing the rune system, Lin Moyu constantly had insights. Strangely, Lin Moyu felt a sense of déjà vu, not towards a specific rune but towards every rune. It was as if he had seen these runes somewhere before. He slowly raised his finger and drew a rune in the air. This was the most basic rune, representing the most basic spell. Flame spell. In the small world, there was a profession called elemental mage. Elemental mages had a skill called fireball spell. The flame spell was an evolution of the fireball spell, a higher level product of the skill transforming into a spell. In the small world, the flame spell was an impressive spell. Its power could compare to divine spells. A single flame spell could evaporate and burn mountains, rivers, and seas. But from the perspective of the great world, the flame spell was really weak. At the true god level, it was basically unused, just a small spell for the super god realm to play with. Lin Moyu wrote his first rune, a seemingly simple
Fire.
character. Although it was a basic rune, not everyone could write it. It required not only form but also spirit. When Lin Moyu wrote the rune, he infused it with his spirit. The soul power of the other shore realm flowed like a stream from Lin Moyu's finger into the rune. The rune was successfully written, and the fire rune turned into a fireball, shooting into the sky. Boom! A layer of crimson fire clouds suddenly appeared above the sea of laws. Countless flames churned in the clouds, as if they could fall at any moment. The fire clouds emitted an astonishing aura, surpassing the true god realm and reaching the god-king level. Many people who were training were startled, looking at the crimson fire clouds above the sea of laws with suspicion. Lin Moyu didn't expect that just drawing the simplest basic rune would cause such a commotion. But the rune was already activated, and he couldn't stop it unless he used a stronger force to disperse the crimson fire clouds. At this moment, the old man not far from him gently tugged the fishing rod. The sea of laws gently shook, and the crimson fire clouds were instantly dispersed. The crimson fire clouds shattered like bubbles, disappearing as if they had never appeared. Many people returned to their training state. Lin Moyu breathed a sigh of relief and bowed to the old man.
Thank you, Senior.
The old man shook his head.
Don't try this in the Sea of Laws.
Lin Moyu understood.
I understand, Senior.
Lin Moyu realized that the Sea of Laws was a place for training, not for experimenting with spells, especially his runes, which were drawn with the soul of the other shore realm. The same rune, when drawn by him, had far greater power than others. Putting away the thought of testing other runes, Lin Moyu checked the time. From the moment he entered the human emperor training ground and came to the Sea of Laws, 3,000 days had passed. Although only 30 days had passed in the real world, his consciousness in the human emperor network had truly experienced 3,000 days. Nearly 9 years had passed in the blink of an eye. Indeed, there is no time in cultivation. The basic rune system was established, and he had his own understanding of runes. He had even mastered most of the basic runes. In other words, his foundation was solid. To further study runes, he could either find a teacher or join a sect or family proficient in runes. Of course, he could also self-study. But self-study required a lot of materials, some of which were not easily obtainable. The Human Emperor Network had such materials, but they required divine city merits to exchange. Besides that, Lin Moyu had another path. He had the
Fuyu,
given by Elder Su, which he could continue to study. The runes recorded in
Fuyu,
were more advanced than basic runes. In Lin Moyu's rune system, he divided runes into 3 levels. The lowest level he called basic runes, like the flame spell he had just drawn. The runes recorded in
Fuyu,
belonged to high-level runes. The rune fragments seen in the Poison Bee secret realm were called ancient runes. With his current ability, he could start practicing high-level runes, but he was still far from ancient runes. Lin Moyu spent another day carefully reviewing all the rune knowledge before truly stopping. He didn't continue studying
Fuyu,
but instead took out the materials he had obtained from Hu Tian and Bai Shao to start researching the power of belief. At the same time, he bought all the available materials on the power of belief from the Human Emperor Network. The entire process was the same as studying runes. 1586 1586. Chapter 1586. Infinite Amplification, Mysterious Power of Belief. Lin Moyu was a blank slate when it came to the power of belief. Apart from what Antares had mentioned, that the power of belief could increase the speed of comprehending laws, he had no other information. In fact, it did have this effect. Later, when he broke through to the God King realm, he used the power of belief to activate the mirror of belief, which made him realize that there were special treasures specifically designed for the power of belief. The power of belief, being one of the fundamental forces of the human race, was certainly not simple. This was something Lin Moyu had believed from the beginning. From the 4-star region competition, Lin Moyu still couldn't discover the specific uses of the power of belief. The cultivators of the White Tiger Star region didn't seem to have anything special about them, at least not that he could see. So Lin Moyu was always puzzled. Was the power of belief too weak? Or were the White Tiger Star region cultivators not proficient in its use? This time, he decided to explore for himself to see what the power of belief truly entailed and why it became one of the fundamental forces of the human race. First, he checked the information from the Human Emperor Network. There was a lot of information about the power of belief in the Human Emperor Network. Through this information, he could form a systematic understanding similar to runes. By understanding the system, he could better comprehend other materials and insights without being misled. When the information about the power of belief was unlocked, Lin Moyu felt as if he had seen a whole new world. Countless predecessors of the human race had conducted in-depth research on the power of belief, ultimately concluding that it was a peculiar force, existing between reality and illusion. It seemed to be a manifestation of some illusory law, something that shouldn't exist in the world, yet it did. The power of belief had significant effects, the most well-known being its ability to help comprehend laws. However, this assistance wasn't always available. It only worked when one had reached a bottleneck in understanding a law and couldn't break through after a period of time. In Lin Moyu's understanding, the power of belief was like a hammer that could break through the wall of a bottleneck, allowing one to continue progressing. Of course, the stronger the bottleneck, the more power of belief was needed. For the cultivators of the White Tiger Star region, most lacked sufficient power of belief. It was useful at lower realms but became less effective at higher realms. Therefore, the average realm of White Tiger Star region cultivators wasn't much higher than other star regions. The second use of the power of belief was to activate and drive some special treasures. However, these treasures were mostly auxiliary and not powerful offensive treasures. The first two uses were the most common and frequently used because they required relatively low amounts of power of belief. As for the other uses of the power of belief, the requirements were much higher, and the number of users significantly decreased. Most cultivators couldn't meet the requirements. The root of the power of belief lay in the thoughts of countless beings. It wasn't a matter of hundreds or thousands, but required the collective thoughts of billions of beings to form sufficient power of belief. Once enough power of belief was gathered, it could achieve the third use, amplifying spells. The power of belief could attach to any spell, amplifying its effects. Whether for defense or attack, as long as it was a spell, it could be amplified. The amplification effect had no upper limit, ranging from the weakest one-fold to the strongest infinite-fold, depending on the amount of power of belief consumed. Besides these three uses, the power of belief had many other uses, increasingly mysterious and seemingly beyond what laws could achieve. However, the requirements for the power of belief also increased explosively. For example, purifying the soul. With enough power of belief, one could purify the soul, enhancing its realm. For many cultivators, enhancing the soul's realm was an irresistible temptation. The power of belief could also be used for deduction. According to one piece of information, the power of belief could deduce all kinds of laws, having incredible effects at the God-sovereign realm, though no specific details were provided. Additionally, the power of belief had other uses, but these were too advanced to be recorded in the materials Lin Moyu could access. Just by looking at the ubiquitous towers of belief in the Divine City, where even beings of the other shore realm collected the power of belief, one could understand its significance. Even at the other shore realm, the power of belief could still play a powerful role. Lin Moyu even suspected that the power of belief might truly shine at the other shore realm. Finally, he had a systematic understanding of the power of belief.
Next, I need to refine the power of belief and truly make it my own.
On the back of the skeletal dragon, Lin Moyu's palm gradually outlined a special rune. This rune was a basic rune called the refining rune. Its purpose was to assist in refining, melting some materials. Lin Moyu used his other shore realm soul, assisted by the power of belief, to draw the rune. When the rune was completed, it automatically exploded, turning into a transparent, illusory flame. This flame could refine the power of belief. Lin Moyu had collected a large amount of power of belief, but it varied in strength and was full of impurities. Although he could use it, the effect was not ideal. After refining, the power of belief would become pure and truly his own. The transparent flame exploded again, enveloping his entire body. Countless illusory impurities rose from Lin Moyu's body, and various sounds echoed in the void. These were the impure thoughts within the power of belief, now being refined and discarded. With the assistance of his powerful soul, the rune was very strong, and the refining process was extremely fast. In just 2 days, Lin Moyu had refined all the power of belief.
A total of 3,200 units of power of belief. Every day, the power of belief increases by about 10 units.
Lin Moyu counted the refined power of belief, using units as the measurement. This method was also mentioned in the materials. Since the amount of power of belief each provider could offer varied, it couldn't be specifically counted by the number of people. It could only be measured uniformly after refining and merging. 3,212 units of power of belief were already an astronomical number for countless cultivators. Compared to when he advanced to the God King realm and activated the Mirror of Belief, which required only 1 unit of power of belief, the increase was now thousands of times greater. If he used 10 units of power of belief, he could double the effect of any spell. Using 100 units could amplify it 5-fold. Using 1,000 units could amplify it 10-fold. The more power of belief used, the weaker the amplification effect, a marginal effect Lin Moyu fully understood. Theoretically, as long as there was enough power of belief, spells could be infinitely amplified. This was a terrifying ability, and even Lin Moyu was amazed. Just this one ability was enough to make countless people covet it. Lin Moyu seemed to understand why beings of the other shore realm collected so much power of belief. If their spells were further amplified, just thinking about it was frightening. Suddenly, Lin Moyu's expression became strange as he thought of a possible clever trick. 1587, 1587. Chapter 1587. Shameless trick, setting up the belief array. Skeletons appeared around Lin Moyu. He ordered the skeletons to express devotion towards him. The skeletons were already loyal to their master Lin Moyu with unlimited devotion. No matter what command he gave, even if it was unreasonable or ordering them to go to their deaths, they would obey without hesitation. Under such devotion, Lin Moyu commanded them to express devotion to him. Time passed second by second, but Lin Moyu felt nothing. The void was silent without a sound. The atmosphere became a bit awkward.
This shouldn't be the case.
Lin Moyu felt it was strange. According to his guess, this shouldn't have happened. Although the skeletons were his summons, they had their own lives. Although they were undead, their life form was special, they did possess life. The soul fires in their skulls were the best proof. The power of belief did not require the other party to have wisdom or to think. Even an insect, as long as it was devout enough, could provide the power of belief. All his thoughts seemed correct, but in the end, the skeletons did not produce any power of belief towards him.
Where did I go wrong?
Lin Moyu pondered, recalling the materials and reconsidering all possibilities. Suddenly, he thought of the towers of belief. In the towers of belief, there was an array that seemed to gather the power of belief. This array was formed by runes. If he could construct this array himself, perhaps he could collect the power of belief.
An array that can collect the power of belief.
Lin Moyu searched for information about this array in the Human Emperor network and finally found it. Belief array. The array can form an area. People within the area will naturally express devotion and offer the power of belief. Seeing the description of the belief array's function, this was indeed what he needed. Within the area covered by the array, as long as the people inside did not consciously resist and were told a name, the array could automatically collect their power of belief. The array would guide the people inside and not cause any harm to them, as long as they did not resist. This was why the scene in the Tower of Belief had occurred. Whether it was skeletons, death knights, or even slaves in bone hell, as long as they were Lin Moyu's summons, they had no consciousness to resist. If he set up this array, he would very likely succeed in collecting the power of belief. Lin Moyu estimated the probability of success to be over 99%. Belief array in the Human Emperor network was not provided for free. It required exchanging Divine City merits. The price was extremely expensive, requiring 500 Divine City merits. 500 Divine City merits was an astronomical sum. For many initial cultivators, they would need to complete 50 Secret Realm tasks successfully to earn 500 Divine City merits. Secret Realm tasks were extremely dangerous, and one could easily die inside. To spend 500 Divine City merits just to exchange for this array was unnecessary. Only those who had established families and sects and pursued the power of belief would spend such a high price to purchase it. After considering for just a minute, Lin Moyu made his decision. He communicated with the Human Emperor network.
Purchase the belief array.
After verification, you meet the requirements to purchase the belief array. Purchasing the belief array requires 500 Divine City merits. Please confirm if you want to purchase. Lin Moyu did not hesitate to reply,
Confirm purchase.
In the next second, 500 Divine City merits were deducted, and Lin Moyu obtained detailed information on how to set up the belief array. Eagerly checking the information, Lin Moyu frowned slightly. The information on the belief array brought him one good news and two bad news. The good news was that the belief array did not require any materials. It was a pure rune array that only needed runes to set up. This meant Lin Moyu did not need to collect additional materials. The materials for setting up arrays could cost tens of thousands, and collecting them was not easy. Some materials were not only rare but also expensive. Some could not be bought even with money. The first bad news was that these runes were somewhat difficult, and most of them were not yet mastered by Lin Moyu. The second bad news was that setting up the array required using the power of belief to draw the corresponding runes, and the consumption of the power of belief was very high. The belief array consisted of 1,200 subrunes and one main rune. Setting up a complete belief array required consuming 2,000 units of the power of belief. If the setup failed, the 2,000 units of the power of belief would dissipate, completely wasted. In other words, he could only fail once. If he failed once, he would have to wait some time before attempting to set it up again. Lin Moyu began to ponder the probability of successfully setting up the belief array. After a moment, Lin Moyu's brow relaxed, revealing confidence again.
Although there are some difficulties, it is not impossible. If successful, it will be a huge boost to my combat power.
According to his calculations, he had at least a 60% chance of successfully setting up the belief array. 60% was not high, but it was enough. With this decision, the next step was to master these runes. Currently, there were 60 days left before reaching the initial 12,301 life star system. In reality, 40 days had passed, while in the Human Emperor training ground, 4,000 days had passed. Previously, he had spent 3,000 days in the Human Emperor training ground learning runes, and then another 1,000 days learning about the power of belief. He had exhausted all 3,500 days of training time in the Human Emperor training ground and had been using points for the remaining 500 days. 5 million points had been used at 100,000 points per day. He decided to spend the remaining time in the Human Emperor training ground as well, taking advantage of the time acceleration ability of the Sea of Laws and exchanging points for time. He aimed to master the runes needed for the belief array before reaching the initial 12,301 star system. With 60 days remaining, it would be 6,000 days in the Human Emperor training ground. At 100,000 points per day, it would be 600 million points. Lin Moyu's previously earned points would be completely consumed. However, if he succeeded, Lin Moyu felt it was worth it. Lin Moyu did not mind the points. He could always earn more. Time was the most precious resource. His consciousness returned to the human emperor training ground, and his consciousness body regained its brilliance. His soul used its dual capabilities, connecting both reality and virtuality. In reality, Lin Moyu took out the
rune language,
while in the virtual realm, he began to comprehend the runes on it, taking advantage of the time acceleration. The runes used in the belief array were partly basic runes and partly high-level runes, both recorded in the
rune language.
The only difference was that the power of belief needed to be added during the drawing process. For others, it would be very difficult. But for Lin Moyu, it was acceptable. His other shore realm soul and astonishing recovery rate of 3.0 gave Lin Moyu great confidence. In the core area of the Divine City, the experts of the other shore realm began discussing again. For them, in the long passage of time, it was rare to see something novel.
Oh, Lin Moyu just asked the Human Emperor Network to purchase the information on the belief array. What does he want to do? Could he be planning to set up the belief array? Why would he set up the belief array? You're being silly. The belief array is naturally for collecting the power of belief. But where would he get believers? Don't forget how many summons he has. Using summons as believers, how absurd is he? It is indeed absurd. One belief array can only cover a small area and accommodate a limited number of believers. What if he sets up more than one? Having imagination is good, at least better than us. Yes, let's hope he succeeds.
1588 1588